Hey everybody! Here we are with Kids on
Hello.
Bikes. Welcome back for week 2, session 2 of our Kids on Bikes game. My
Yay.
name's Bobby, and I'm here as well as these other 3 people.
Here with these.
That's the
Great introduction.
that's the best I can do.
That girl and that girl and that guy.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go around real quick and do quick introductions. Our GM right next to me here is Scrim. Say hello, Scrim.
Hello. Hello, Scrim.
Below Scrim is Palmer, who's playing 11-year-old Billy.
Hoy hoy.
Billy is my character Zane's younger brother, and I'm a 17-year-old Zane. And Cassie is below me. She's playing Dahlia, Billy's 11-year-old classmate and best friend.
Yeah. Best friends.
Yeah, so and we're playing Kids on Bikes. So Kids on Bikes is we're here solving small town mysteries in small town Middle Grape, Ontario. So yeah.
Yeah, last week we got to know our characters a little bit. We got to know the town a little bit. We started off on a pretty normal day in Middle Grape, and we ended up witnessing a plane crash where the plane mysteriously was sliced in half and the nose of the plane disappeared. Our 3 characters ended up at the Bouchard's house, Billy and Zane's house, where they were watching the news about this plane crash, and they were there with Zane's classmate Amanda, and she reacted very strongly to someone on the TV, a man with slicked back salt and pepper hair, and he suddenly appeared at the door, which led the 4 of them to attempt to run away unsuccessfully until Amanda created a portal and got them out of there. So from there, they've made their way to Dahlia's house, and we met Dahlia's dad, who we ended the session with a trek out into his trapper's cabin.
Yes.
So that's where our beloved characters are right now. They are on the way to this cabin. And it looks like they don't have a ton of places to go. It is a little bit options are closing for them. So I think we're going to start with a quick scene from somewhere outside of Middle Grape.
Ooh.
So we see a close-up of a hand. It twitches and blurs out of focus. We pan up and zoom out, watching the arm twitch, then blur. And we zoom out further to see Inspector Grist laying on a cold metal table, every hair in place, wearing his black wool coat. He grimaces. Again. We hear switch flipping, then a high-pitched whine. Grist's entire body twitches and blurs. A translucent phantom of himself rises from his body, stretching long tendrils between the 2 Grists. He bellows, and it's a deep, otherworldly sound. The tendrils shorten, and the 2 bodies snap back together as the whine crescendos. Grist lays on the table, panting. The switch flips, and the whining spins down. We hear a thin, masculine voice off screen. Again? Grist sits up stiff and strides to the opposite side of the room. A wide, squat machine, wires snarled over its surface, sits next to a dark-haired man wearing a rumpled shirt under a full hazmat suit. Grist grabs the dark-haired man and pushes him up against the wall. This isn't working, Dr. Cohn. You told us this would work. I can't guarantee results in a month. I need more time. Grist leans his face toward the man. No, you need more power. You need the girl. The man blanches. No! We're going to find her. No! We had a deal! She'll reveal herself sooner or later. The man takes a deep breath and says, I won't do it. You can't bring my daughter into this. Another man, identical to Grist, steps in behind the original, staring at Cone's fearful brown eyes. Your techniques are inadequate, he says. Another replica appears on his left, and the three speak simultaneously. We cannot access sufficient resources with only 10 of us. We zoom back away from Cone's terrified face, and we see 10 Inspector Grists surrounding him. Well, Cone's voice shakes. She's gone. You won't find her. They smirk and speak in unison. You persist in misunderstanding. Space does not contain us. She was the beacon that brought us to you, and she will signal us again. We will hunt for her while you continue to work. We zoom in on Dr. Cone's brown eyes, widened in terror. And then we fade to Amanda Cone's face, her brown eyes furrowed in disgust. She's leaning back against her locker at Middle Grape High School, watching a familiar scene across the hallway. Stop it, Chad! Michelle's voice is playful and light, but she backs away from a grinning boy with her hands clenched behind her back. Oh, come on. Chad waves a hand, dismissing her. I'm just messing around. See you at my game tonight? Michelle lets out a light, playful scoff. Of course, good luck! She turns away from him and her smile immediately fades, her stride stiff. Chad raises an eyebrow at a couple buddies and moves quietly behind her, his arm raised and directed as if he's going to snap her bra strap. Fuck you, creep, Amanda mutters and makes a fist. A small portal appears below her arm and she slams her hand through. The fist appears directly in front of Chad's crotch, and Amanda punches as hard as she can and then withdraws her arm quickly, her heart pounding. Okay. Ah! Chad cries out and doubles over, squirming on the ground. Michelle looks behind her and scurries away, uncertain. Amanda smirks at Chad on the floor as she walks past. We cut back to the lab, facing all 10 Grists. In perfect unison, they snap their heads to the left and let out a satisfied sigh. The original turns his head back to Dr. Cone. She's reached into our world once more, he says. Extraordinary. Back up, Doctor. We're going to the source. The other 9 reach out and grasp the air, grabbing hold of some invisible edge. They pull, creating bright purple cracks and stepping through them, leaving a terrified Dr. Cone behind, alone with a single Grist. So let's check in on our
oh my god,
on our three kids, 4 kids, I guess. We've got Amanda with you. You're on a sled on your way to the trapper's cabin. After a couple hours behind this very old snowmobile, you arrive at this cabin, and Mr. Kenny wastes no time setting things up. He gets you all settled into where you need to be. He pulls out some blankets, some sleeping bags, some hides that are tanned to varying degrees of excellence. Some are maybe a little shabby, some look really good. He's pulling out canned food, and you are all kind of crammed in this very small space. It's maybe 10 feet by 10 feet. It's not very large in here, and there's no furniture, maybe a stool or two, but that's about it.
And this is in the middle of the woods, right?
Yeah, and it's very dark. It is now nighttime, maybe about not night, but it's like 8 o'clock, pushing 9. What do you do?
When
Oh, man.
when you're riding in a sled behind a snowmobile, do you get a bunch of snow flying at you the whole time?
You know, I would say that would be high risk, high risk
Uh,
snow flying activity, especially with this old crappy
uh,
machine.
yeah, I can express from experience that yes, it's basically like standing in front of the output from a snowblower.
Oh my gosh. So we're
Um,
probably pretty wet.
as
Mhm.
long as we don't hit any rocks or anything, it's just gonna be like being pelted with snowballs.
Right, right. But I guess I'm trying to get myself into that frame of mind. Like it's probably not a very comfortable state that we're in right now. Probably pretty wet
No,
and
I
cold. And
wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't say that we're feeling the
okay.
greatest.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm walking up and I guess we're here now and we're inside this shack, this 10 by 10 shack, you say?
Yeah, Mr. Kenny's got the fire going, and he's laying out blankets. He says, I don't have a ton of dry clothes, but I do have a couple of jackets you can borrow if you're feeling a little chilly as you dry off. Come near the fire.
Yeah, well, I the my clothes underneath are pretty dry. I just a dry coat would be nice. Yeah.
So yeah, he outfits Billy, Zane, and Amanda with something like blankets
Yeah,
and
yeah.
old parkas.
Hang my coat up wherever as close to the fire as I can get it to where it can maybe dry off a little bit. Um, and yeah, I just gonna try to get as close to the fire as I can and warm up. You got any other lights in here? I guess this fire probably fills up the small shack, so it's probably pretty.
Yeah, he lights up a couple of candles and he kind of he feels I think that Dahlia, you can sense he's a little bit almost awkward, like he's not like that usually, but he feels like guests in this cabin, like this place is kind of messy and like I have nothing for them to do.
This is like my space. And
Yeah, he feels weird.
What? Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, I think that it was we have like the little kerosene like storm lanterns.
Nice.
So yeah, so you don't necessarily have to waste candles yet. I think the kerosene stuff that'll last forever. Ideally.
So yeah, you're
Yeah, so
stocking things,
yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah, Dahlia spent like basically in autopilot helping her dad get everything set up, like how they they have their system and everything, and now they're just like having to walk around everyone. And then she's gonna go into the pantry and start pulling out a few cans and getting a pot and the little like stand that goes over the fire so it can like start heating up some food, warm up our insides.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, so you generally kind of warm up. And Mr. Kenny says, well, I mean, there's not much we can do the rest of the night. I can't I don't think it's wise for any of you to go home, so why don't we settle in?
I don't know how much sleep I'm gonna get tonight, but what are we gonna do tomorrow? I'm worried about my parents. When we tried to call, they didn't answer at work, at either work. We know that these people are probably either have or are looking for one or both of my parents, our parents.
Maybe we can go there tomorrow? We can like sneak up to the airport? Look for clues?
Maybe. Yeah. We got to do something. the sort of like like as they're sitting down and settling in and things are getting quiet, it's like the constant like running and adrenaline is wearing off, and the reality of the situation is sort of setting in for Zane, and it's like he's realizing, oh, I'm here alone without my parents. You know, like he's feeling definitely much younger than he is. You know what I mean? Like feeling a little helpless.
What's Billy thinking?
I think you know, he's at this point sort of numb and exhausted, just coming down from everything. But I mean, this isn't really a huge space, so he just sort of reaches over and pats Zane on the arm and is like, "It's okay. We'll figure it out. I know you can."
Yeah.
And you can tell, like, he's like a little bit, like, in about 10 minutes he'll probably be hyperactive from being overtired. but right now a little more like a zombie.
Zane knows the signs.
Yeah. Look, guys, let's get some sleep. You guys, we've all had a long day. Amanda, are you doing okay?
Amanda, her black eyeliner and black lipstick has gotten a little smudged from the trip up here and the wet snow in her face. And so she looks a little disheveled. Her hair's kind of all over the place, and she looks a little younger and more scared than when you first when the guy first showed up. She's very pale and she kind of takes a deep breath and nods and says, "Yeah, I'm okay. Do you mind? Can I borrow your Walkman again?"
Yeah, sure. Here, and I take it out and I hand it to her, and whatever tapes I have with me, I let her take her pick.
Yeah, she definitely listens to Rage again. It seems to calm her down. And she's got her eyes closed. She's sort of huddled in her makeshift bedroll. And then all of a sudden her eyes open and she looks at the rest of you and says, "Oh, you guys haven't even had a chance to hear this yet."
No, we haven't. Staring at Zane stealing my tape.
She says, "Oh, this is the best one," and she takes the headphones off and puts them on Zane's head and says, "You try it first, Dahlia. You can listen to it next. It's so good." And she is, the song that you hear is "Killing in the Name," and it's, I don't know, what's the experience for Zane for this one?
So Zane's normally Zane's definitely a top 40s pop kind of guy.
All this screaming and yelling.
And he spent some time listening to some, like, you know, R&B and love songs, because, you know, he's got to keep up with it, you know. Cuz he's got people to impress. So this is a little he's not caught, like, they listened to a little bit of it for a minute when they were back at the house after they worked on their project together after school. So he's not, like, immediately thrown by the loudness of it. But he's like, oh gee, like, he's not hearing any of the words for sure.
Yeah. What are they saying?
Yeah.
Where's the chorus?
Yeah. He's not but he's not, like, old manning it, you know. He's not like, why are they yelling? It's just different, you know. Like, he's just like, huh, it's more intriguing than anything. I think he kind of he kind of wants to to listen to it for a minute because he's intrigued that Amanda is so intrigued by it, but he's not really sure why that matters to him. So.
Yeah, I what about the rest of you when you get a chance to hear it? Are you smitten? Are you bewildered?
No, I'm so excited. We'll take it. I take him off like halfway through, and I go and I just push myself up against Billy and be like, "You have to listen to this with me." So like you know how you used to do with the headphones, and you just kind of huddle around him. That's
Yeah.
Doing my little head banging. Oh, this is so good.
I wish we had the rights.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Kenny kind of like he samples it for a second. And he's kind of like, okay. Just sounds like noise to me.
Yeah.
Feel good, Dad.
I feel like Amanda is she's taking the moment to, she's a very anxious person, and especially in these sorts of like uncertain scary times for her, but I feel like she's watching everybody else react to this music that she enjoys very much, and it's bringing her like the pleasure and distraction that she needs right now. She's smiling and watching and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a bonding moment in the middle of you're all kind of huddled under your blankets, you're listening to this, you're having this new experience together, and you listen for a little bit, and there we go. Good work, Palmer.
Like, blanket's got a Millennium Falcon on it.
That's on brand. I feel like that's on brand.
Yeah.
So yeah, you settle in and lie down.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think any other thoughts before we move to the next day?
I think Billy is exhausted, so he sort of falls asleep very quickly. But this is sort of he's not unused to being like sort of out, in a more wild sort of area. But this is more than usual, and there are other like people around, and it's quite close. So it's not the best sleeping situation. And I think that that night he sort of he has a lot of nightmares, but doesn't like tell anyone about that.
Does he wake up?
Yeah, wakes up a lot and just sort of like looks out the windows, which are just black sheets. You can't even hardly tell where the window is, except for there's that little glow coming off the snow from outside, and he just imagines things coming outside the windows and looking in. Things.
Does everybody else stay asleep, wake up?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure I just sleep. And Zane's pretty worried about Billy, but so he might wake up periodically as he hears noises in stages of lighter sleep, but just to check on things. But other than that, he's pretty exhausted. And it probably takes him a little while to fall asleep too, because he's got things to contemplate, like how this new friend of his, Amanda, just pulled them through a damn portal in space. Lest we forget that happened.
So many things have happened since then. It's just one piece of the puzzle.
Like, we broke into the school. Oh my god.
In the girls' bathroom.
Your
Yes,
your little brother vandalized your high school, and
oh, you stole some clothes and some snowshoes.
Yeah, I think Dahlia is quite comfortable like in this space, so she probably like asked her dad if like if one of that should stay up like and keep guard, and he's probably like don't worry about it, everything's gonna be fine, which is like dad speak for he's gonna be the one to probably stay up and make sure everything's okay. But so Dahlia's gonna sleep pretty well, I think, all things considered, because she's got her dad, and she's got a superhero in the same room as her, so she's feeling pretty safe.
Yeah.
Love Dahlia so much. So Billy, at one point when you wake up in the middle of the night, you hear rain outside.
Ooh.
And all of a sudden, Amanda sits upright and her eyes are wide, and she looks around to see if anyone else is up, and you can hear she's kind of
I think Billy just he's lying there with just his eyes open and like the blanket way up, kind of like this, and he doesn't, he was a bit startled by that, but he doesn't want to like be startling, so he just kind of tries to move around a bit and like breathe a little louder, and then like roll over, and then like after that like sit up and be like, sort of, he's trying to pretend he's more tired than he is, or more asleep than he was. And be like, what's, you okay?
Is it raining?
And then he's forgets that he's committing a deceit, and he's like, I think it's raining. It's weird. Shouldn't rain this time of year.
No. She stands up and looks out at the window and sees...
Oh wait, it's cold outside. Okay, I'm
real damn cold.
It's December. Yeah.
Sorry, it's December in South Carolina is rain anyway, so it took me a second.
Yeah, and it sounds kind of like rain, but I think that Billy would recognize this sound as most likely an ice storm. There's sort of like freezing rain, so it's not. It's kind of warm enough that
yeah, kind of somewhere between ice pellets, sleet, and large snowflakes.
Right. So there's like blowing thick, wet, snowy-ish bits.
Right.
Sleet, I guess. Slurry.
Slurry. Sky slurry. That's what we'll call it.
Yeah.
We had that. We had that last week here. So
you can see it kind of by the light of the moon.
Yeah, he's sort of terrified to look out the window right now. So in case there are vampires or zombies. So he's just sort of like able to look at the pane of the window, and in that kind of weather, you can see it sticking on the window and freezing.
Yeah, it's starting
and then gradually melting off because the inside of the room is warmer. He says, "Oh, it's kind of rain, ice stuff."
Yeah.
At least no one will want to be out in that.
God. She kind of goes back and huddles under her blankets, and she sort of got her knees up to her chest, and without looking at Billy, she says, I'm scared.
And he, there's a long pause, and he's like, whispering, basically, me too. Probably something different. What are you scared of?
I'm scared that they're gonna find me again and take me wherever they took my dad. And I'm also scared that they're not going to find me and that I won't see my dad again.
Well, I mean, well, yeah, that sounds scary. I'm scared that, I don't know where my mom and dad are either. But, I mean, Zane's with us, and Mr. Kenny, and Delilah, and they will help us.
All right. I guess I'll try to sleep.
Oh, okay. Okay. And then he also lies down, but doesn't, like, close his eyes or anything.
Yeah, and I think it's a while before you hear her breathing go regular again. She's awake for a bit.
Yeah, I think Billy is sort of like, in the way that children do, he's like worried for a little while just because it's dark, and then he's like looking at the window, listening to the sound, and then looking at the window and wondering if maybe there's going to be a skeleton. Because the snow's melting, and what if somebody, died in the snowstorm and then they come back?
I mean, reasonable.
Yes, definitely rational fears.
Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Not yet published. All right, so the rest of you wake up and to Mr. Kenny banging around making some breakfast. You gradually get up and begin to eat off of various what's the word I'm looking for? Improvised plates. And if you look outside, you see that, in fact, there has been an ice storm. And for the uninitiated, I have posted a link to what it might look like after an ice storm.
I am uninitiated, so
I'll...
we've had ice storms like this here before.
Okay,
so,
all right.
Yeah.
So every surface is covered in ice. Tree branches are weighed down. The surface of the snow is shiny. It's a good thing Mr. Kenny put a tarp over the snowmobile because it's like a sheen over top of the snowmobile. And it's hard to even see outside through these windows because they're like pebbled. They look like kind of like not frosted glass, but like glass that looks like all melty.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they look like.
Yeah. I think it's gotten sort of stuffy in here overnight, and now that it's like, it's daylight and there's food being made, I think Billy's just sort of gonna get a coat on and go, and he's I'm gonna get some fresh air since it's not snurraining and
Schraining.
And he goes outside, and one of the things that you do after this has happened, because there was previously snow on the ground, so now there's snow with a sheet of ice over top of it perfectly. So you break a chunk of ice off that's nice and flat, and you just skid it over the top of the snow
right
to see how far it will go.
Of course.
So Billy's out playing in the snow.
He is committing acts of distraction.
As we're sitting around the fire and getting some breakfast, what passes as breakfast? What does pass as breakfast? I think you said the dishes were makeshift, but is the food
you have your choice of canned meat or the reheated soup from last night.
Well,
and turkey of an unknown origin.
I'll go for some reheated soup. I'm probably pretty cold, so I'll go for that, and I'll grab a dish and go to serve myself, and see that there aren't really many other dishes that resemble dishes quite like the one that I picked up. Like the rest of them are probably a little bit more makeshift. Like maybe this is the most passable one, and he looks around and he pours some soup in it and hands it.
Roof shingles, like wood
Yeah.
roof shingles. That's what we're kind of dealing with right now.
Or like,
Pieces of bark.
or you know, a half of a. It used to be a plate, but now it's a half of a plate. That half's
Right.
that half's still good.
Right. So he ladles some soup, nice warm soup in it, and then hands it to Amanda and says, "You want some soup? It's pretty cold. I mean, it's cold out here. The soup's warm."
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
You where you moved to town here recently, I know, where you lived in the city before that?
Yeah, Toronto. Yeah.
So you probably didn't get out to fun shacks like this too often.
No, I've never slept in the same bedroom as 4 other people. That's a new experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not so bad. Mr. Kinney snores a little bit, I learned last night, but
Yes, yeah, he definitely does. Yeah.
but it's not so bad.
She takes a sip of the soup and says, "I wouldn't normally like this, but I am so hungry."
Yeah, me too.
You want some spam? I'm like,
Kinda...
we're just like cutting like really thin layers and then just like putting them on like little like cast iron like pot at the bottom, just like to fry them up. It's almost like bacon when you cut it real thin, you know.
She kind of makes a face and then eats a piece and is like, "Yeah, that's okay. Can I have another one? I'm so hungry."
Yeah. Spam bacon.
So you chow down and I imagine Billy eventually comes in at the smell of fried spam.
Oh yes, definitely. That's a seller right there.
And I think Mr. Kenny kind of looks around and he says, "Well, you need to get in touch with your parents somehow." And gestures to Amanda, your aunt and uncle. I mean, there's a chance the phones are out with this ice, but we'll have to try. Do you have any idea where they might be?
Who is he talking to? I'm sorry.
The group.
Oh, okay.
You all need to find your parents and respective guardians.
Well, mine and Billy's parent, mom and dad, our mom and dad, we tried. You were there. We tried calling last night. I don't know where they could be, but they're definitely. So we could go either to the airport where the plane crashed, but I bet you there's going to be a lot of stuff going on there. Or
And didn't it break?
You're talking about the tower?
Yeah.
Yeah, the tower's not even there anymore. I'm betting if Mom is anywhere, it's not there. Billy.
Well, we could go to Dad's work. Maybe we can. It's pretty far, but you know,
Yeah.
I've been there one time, to the mine.
Our dad works at a uranium mine. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember which atomic mineral it was. Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, I mean that seems like the best bet to me. Amanda, your parents. I mean, they're not your parents. They're your aunt and uncle.
Well, you said that Kirsten was home, so they're probably home. But you also said that Kirsten was talking weird last night, so maybe.
Look, I don't want to be. Zane's like trying to find the best way to say what he's gonna say next, because he doesn't want to upset anybody more. But he says, we called we called Kirsten's place. We called your aunt and uncle. And Kirsten was talking weird, like you said. And then not long after that, what was that that guy's name?
Grist.
Yeah, not long after that Grist guy called us, and he knew who we were and where we were. I don't think it's a good idea to go there. And he's just gonna leave it at that. Like he's just gonna let everybody draw their own conclusions as to what that means.
Mr. Kenny nods and says, "No, I think all of our homes are compromised. We have to find somewhere else to go. What do you think you'd find at the mine? Do you think your parents are there?"
Maybe.
We've got to go there. We got to go, and we got to find out what's going on. Listen, out of character, I think we're all thinking a little bit too much like adults, all right? Kids, we're kids, right? And so they're going to say what action needs to happen. And that's where we need to go. And so,
right.
And so Zane's like, we need to find out what's going on. They've already been to the airport. They've been to Amanda's aunt and uncle's place. They're going to go to this uranium mine next, and we need to beat them there.
Yes, I agree.
It's time for action, Zane.
I've never been to the uranium mine. It'd be fun.
Out of character, didn't they mention something about the mine on the news?
They did, yeah. They said it was they'd expanded their investigation of the plane crash to the uranium mine, thinking that it might have messed with some instruments on the plane.
Yeah. That's the only place we haven't heard from yet. That's the only place that we haven't actually heard from yet, and have direct evidence that they've been there and messed with things. Chances are our parents are there, and we need to find them.
Especially if they're trapped there.
And then Billy remembers, that the note that said to watch the news. Mom said in the note that she was gonna go and get Dad from work, and then now and then no Mom and Dad. So maybe that's where they both are. That's where Dad was. That's where she was going.
I knew I gave you the note for a reason, Billy.
Billy takes good notes.
Yeah. Okay. How do we get there?
Mr. Kenny, do you have a map?
Oh, of course. He has he goes to a shelf and he pulls out like a raggedy kind of stack of maps and lays them out on the small table that's there. And these are well used. A good chunk of them are hand drawn of the area. And he does have one map of Middle Grape.
Yeah.
And the kind of directions to the uranium mine. You could decipher directions, yeah.
So Zane spreads it out. And he spreads it out, and he's like in full on acting like he's seen an action hero in a movie act right now. So like he's like spread it out on the table, and he's like taking like paperweight sized objects and putting them on the corners, to hold it down. And he's like putting his finger down. He's like, this is where we are right here. And he thinks that's where they are. He doesn't know really.
Mr. Kenny picks up your finger and puts it to the place where you actually are.
Right here. This is where we need to be. And he does know where the uranium mine is.
Yeah.
So he's like, this is where we are. This is where we need to be. And we've got all of this between us.
And Mr. Kenny kind of nods. He's a little bit amused, and
Billy checks the scale to see how far that actually is.
I would say it's probably that you live in the direction of the mine, so the town is in the opposite direction, and if you keep going, there's like a way you could go through the woods or on a road to get to the mine. But it's a bit of a trek if you're not taking a car. It's about 20 kilometers.
Yeesh, that is
So
not gonna work.
Walking is not really an option.
Mr.
on
Kenny,
the snowmobile. Yes.
is there enough gas in the sled for this?
Well, it'll take a while. It might take us all day. But yeah, I mean, I ran out once I got there. We had to figure out a way to get it back.
All right. Well, listen. This is what
It's
we're
out
gonna
of
have
sight,
to do.
though.
So Zane and Mr. Kenny are like trying to like work out the logistics, and they're like,
Got a plan.
yeah, they're like, all right. So here's what we're gonna need to do. We could go this way, and then Mr. Kenny's probably like, oh no, that's not gonna work if we go there. The terrain and blah blah. And they're like, okay, let's figure this out. And Amanda's like,
Guys.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, we're. I'm like looking at Billy, and then I'm looking at Amanda, and I'm looking at Billy, and I'm looking at her, and
yeah,
I'm
she's like kind of trying to like
and
get their
I'm like-
attention timidly, like she doesn't know, like she doesn't know how, it's very new to her to be, so openly.
Yeah,
doesn't
so to
she
speak.
need to know where she's going? Like have to have been there before, or is that not?
We don't know yet.
She told you she'd never tried that before.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was like, well, Zane.
Hold on, Dahlia. Listen, we're trying
Zane.
to do. We're trying to work here. All right, go play.
Right.
Men.
Billy
well,
rolls his
you-
eyes at Amanda behind.
Well, while you
Dahlia.
two try to figure it out, us three will just teleport over there.
Mr. Kenny's like right at that moment saying like, I imagine him saying like, I just don't think we're gonna have the gas. And Zane's like, but what do we teleport? Oh, wait a minute,
Pointing at Amanda.
Amanda, that's right.
Oh, can we do that? Is that can we do?
I mean, like I said, I've never tried it before. I've never been there, so.
Well, what if? Can you use a map?
Oh.
Because Zane, point again.
do the pointy things.
Yes. What do we have to go through? We have to go through all of this.
We're here now. We've got to get here.
And Billy sort of looks at the map a little bit. He's like, it's pretty good. Just I don't know if just there's a big mountain, so we don't want to go inside the mountain. Physics.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Are you sure this is the best option? I don't.
No.
Okay.
Look, unless you've got a
I'm
helicopter,
just a kid. I don't know.
Of course, it's the best option.
unless you can teleport in a helicopter to fly us there, then I don't think we're gonna get there before nightfall again. If we can't do it this way.
I can try. That sounds really hard. It might tire. It might hurt.
Then we shouldn't do that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I can definitely try. Can you describe how to get there? Maybe give me a some kind of place to look for.
Have we ever been there? Are there any like landmarks or anything?
I think Billy and Zane would have both been there. They'd met their dad at work at some point. So she closes her eyes and she says, "Okay, just give me a description. I'll see if I can figure out where it is and how to find it.
All right. So I'll do my best to describe it. I probably have a more reliable description of landmarks than maybe Billy does.
At least more repetition, at least.
Yeah.
So she closes her eyes, and you see kind of her fingers twitch, and you see little like sparks of light kind of come as you're describing, and she's like, okay, so it's just a bunch of buildings.
Yeah, there's buildings and there's a road that sort of winds, and there's a lot of red. There's a fence with some barbed wire on top, and a lot of yellow and red signs.
Okay. Is there a gate or something? Should I get inside the gate?
Geez, I don't know if going inside all the way is the best. They'll probably will that create a lot of attention?
Maybe.
But if I remember right, you can't just walk into that place, so being inside the gate might be best.
Anything else you can remember?
There's like a big square pond. Something to do with they have to settle the sludge or something.
That's right.
Okay, big square pond. Okay.
Yeah, it's not a real pond, so it's really square.
Okay. Barbed wire. And she says, she opens her eyes and says, "Okay, I can try. Are you ready?"
Are we all going?
She kind of looks around the room and says, "I mean, that's up to you." She looks at Mr. Kenny as the adult,
Yeah.
kind of waiting for him to protest. And he says, "Well, I'm definitely coming with you. Someone's got to watch out for these two." And puts an arm around Dahlia and Billy.
All right.
But Dad, we can be more sneaky. We're very small and we can hide places. They won't even know we're there.
Dallybug, if you think I'm letting you go in alone, there's no way. And he kind of like he starts kind of loading up. He's packing up his hardtack and stuff. And he says, "Now, can you explain to me what you mean by teleport?"
Yeah. So first we're over here, and then there's purple, and then we're over there.
Yep.
That's
pretty much it.
That's what I remember.
That's exactly what happens.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
The purple's the important part.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda's like super focused, and she says, "Okay, here we go." And she attempts to open a portal to the uranium mine that she has never seen.
All right.
Ouch. So she right now has 7 psychic energy tokens. This is going to be really hard. This is I think I'm going to set the difficulty at 7. So if you don't remember the way this works, it costs 1 psychic energy token to access the power.
Right.
And then you roll 2d4. And if you hit my difficulty with a 0 or like if you hit my difficulty or go above it, then she suffers like a minor physical effect. If you do not hit my difficulty, she either fails or you can spend psychic energy tokens to make it a success.
All right. Who wants to roll?
Who wants to roll 2d4? Our first roll of tonight.
I rolled last time.
I'll roll.
All right.
Oh no.
Not
Ooh.
optimal.
Not great. So you can spend 4 of your 6 remaining tokens, or you can allow it to fail.
Is the price of failure a non-minor physical effect? Like,
I think there's. Let me just double check. I don't think that comes into play at this point.
because narratively, we need this to push narrative forward. Otherwise, we're kind of.
Well, it'll just mean that we'll be making a really long journey. If I recall, so that'll take 4 of those
That's
energy
so
tokens,
many.
and I think that's all we have left.
Oh, we have
No,
6.
you have 6 left.
Oh, okay.
So
still.
then you would end up with 2.
How do we get? Is there a way to get those back?
There is either the power character takes a full night rest, or eat or do something like that. There are sometimes things that can replenish them outside of rest and eating.
Okay.
So you wouldn't know what that is.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the question is, do we need to be there bad enough right now? I don't know.
Narratively speaking,
I think we'll get there.
yeah.
It's just, do we get there now or
time.
later? Yeah.
You know what? Let's fail. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Back.
I'm leaning.
I
I'm
feel-
leaning that way. I think it's
I feel like
okay
it would
and
also
appropriate.
be appropriate that it's not working in front of Dahlia's dad, so he's even more confused as to what the hell we're talking about.
And maybe that's how she sort of, explains it to herself and maybe everybody else. She's having a tough time. She's really anxious because of everything that's going on. She's also not very comfortable in the wilderness, and she's expressing this to people for the first time. Like, there's a lot of things weighing on her right now. And the first time she did it, it was a pretty intense situation. There was this is a little bit of I think quite a different situation. So I think it makes sense that she would not be able to pull it off.
I think I'm going to shift this a little bit. So her action fails, but it doesn't fail in the way that you'd expect.
Oh, okay.
She successfully opens a portal, and so you think it succeeded.
Ooh.
And she steps through.
Well, I guess I'm gonna step through too. I don't want to get left behind.
Yeah. I'm going. All right. Let's go. Mr. Kenny?
Mr. Kenny goes, "What? Where'd she go?"
17-year-olds love to act like they're adults too. So he's like, Zane's relishing in the chance to be able to like have some knowledge of something amazing that he doesn't, So he's like, look,
oh, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. We just go through and then we're over there on the other side. It's no big deal. Come on.
So, yeah.
All right. So you step through to a scene that is a bit strange in Middle Grape. You are on the main street of this of your town, and there are. It seems like everybody who lives in Middle Grape is here. They are all, they're all kind of crowded around the main community center where people gather to do things, and everybody's kind of streaming in to this community center, and you see people like slipping on the ice and talking to each other. Everybody seems kind of tense, and nobody really notices. Maybe a couple of little kids look and see you appear and go, "Mommy, look, mommy, did you see? Mom, Billy's over there. He wasn't there, and now he's there." "Yes, sweetie. Okay, all right, yeah, I know Billy's here. Let's go." So people are kind of hustling their way. People of multiple ages. People who that your dad works with. This is these people should be at work, but they're not. They're hustling their way into this community hall.
Whoa. Okay, so we're here.
Like, super embarrassed.
Whoa.
Oh my
Whoa.
gosh.
This is.
This is. I'm sorry. I was thinking about it, and I must have. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
Oh man.
I think we're further away from the mine now, but hold on, wait a minute. That's Mr. Billings. He works at the mine with Dad, Billy.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna run up to him. Hey, Mr. Billings, excuse me.
Yeah, what's up?
What's going on? You're not at the mine? Do you know I haven't heard from my dad since yesterday.
Zane, are you okay?
Yeah.
Good. You look a little disheveled, but you're here. That's good. I haven't seen your dad. I've been looking for him because I wanted to talk to him about all this, but I haven't seen him. Did he not come home last night?
No, I don't think so. He's actively trying to figure out how much he should or shouldn't say, and he's just opting to not say much. But
Mr. Billings leans in and goes, "Why do you smell like a campfire?"
Well, because we went near a campfire. Like he gives him a sort of like incredulous look, like, why else would I smell like a campfire?
Okay. Okay, great. I mean, we're figuring this out. We just have to.
What's going on?
Well, the investigators called some kind of meeting. They wanted to talk to everybody about what's happening. So, I mean, everybody's just lost and confused. They closed down the mine. You must have heard all of this, weren't you? Oh, I guess if your parents weren't home.
I immediately start, while he's talking to me, I'm sort of like feigning that I'm still listening, but I'm looking around to see if at the mention of investigators, I'm looking around up towards the community center to see if I recognize anybody that we've run into already.
Anybody like
investigator-wise?
Like the investigators?
Yeah, like the investigators, like Grist or any of the people that else who tried to break in or did successfully break into our house.
Right. You see, when your house was broken into, you saw 3 black SUVs, but now you see 5 black SUVs parked right in front of the community center.
I think as Zane was going off to talk to Mr. Billings, I think Billy would have been like trying to get Amanda sort of off the immediately, hey, look, we're right here area.
Agreed.
Maybe just like, go a block that way down toward the music store and then cut into a, like not an alley, but like
between a couple stores or whatever.
Yeah.
A passageway, an alley. You come in.
And just sort of be like where we can still sort of see the community center and where Zane is, but like nobody can see us from this angle really. It's sort of, crouch behind a mailbox, But so he would have like grabbed her by the said, "Oh, excuse me," and then grabbed her by the hand and like pulled her over there.
And I think that Amanda is kind of, she's a little bewildered and disoriented, and her hand is like black and painful, so she follows you without really thinking about it.
Yeah.
Mr. Billings then sees Mr. Kenny, and kind of gets a little grin on his face and says, "Hey there, Kenjen. How's it going? What's happening? Hunt any bears lately?" And I think
I look a little confused.
I think that maybe the others wouldn't catch, but Zane knows, like, he's right in it. This is like, he's being an asshole. He's
Yeah,
mocking.
like, not confused, like, he doesn't understand, but, like, confused, like, why would you do a quick 180 on this guy, Mr. Billings? Like we were having such a nice conversation a second ago.
Yeah. And Mr. Kenny just kind of looks down and shrugs and says, "Oh, you know, not much happening. Are you going to this meeting, Billings?" And he says, "Oh yeah, you should come. I think the government's definitely in on it." And he kind of gives him like,
Is the mine open? Why aren't you at work?
Why aren't you at work? Wow.
Trying to get the conversation back on track.
They're investigating over there.
Right. Okay.
Have you not heard this? Are you okay? Where's your brother? Where's your mom?
Well, you know, Mom was at the airport.
I mean, I know that, but nobody's at the airport now. Just the police. Yeah,
well, maybe figure it out, Mr. Billings, and I walk away.
Figure it out.
He shouts after you and says, "I will not be disrespected like that, young man. Get back over here."
I'm gonna tell your daddy.
Yeah.
And I imagine Zane continues walking away.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Your father's gonna hear about this."
Just keep walking.
And I think Billy overhears that over in like the half a block away, and is like, "How? No, he won't. He doesn't even know where he is."
He's suddenly Rage Against the Machine songs start popping into his head. Titles that he saw on the tape, like "Bullet in the Head," and and he's starting to suddenly.
Are you feeling some Rage Against the Machine?
He's starting to suddenly relate to that music a little bit.
And Amanda kind of narrows her eyes and leans over to Billy and says, "That guy's a dick."
Billy's slightly shocked for like a half a second, and then thoughtful for another half a second, and then is like, "Yeah."
All right, I'm gonna go over to them and be like, "Billy, Amanda, Dahlia's there too? Dahlia went with them?"
Yes.
All right, guys. I didn't learn much. He told me that there was a meeting, and those guys, we could have figured this out on our own.
Maybe Mr. Kenny should go to the meeting, and then we should not go, and we can we can.
Well, Amanda doesn't need to be anywhere near that building.
Yeah, no, that's
sure.
That's why we're in a.
But maybe me and Mr. Kenny could go to this meeting and find out what's going on so far.
Wait, you're gonna leave us by ourselves?
No, I'm going to leave you with Amanda.
Yeah, Amanda kind of like puts her hands on her hips and looks at Dahlia and says, "We'll be fine."
Yeah. What grade? What? She's 15, right? Like, what grade is she in? 10th?
I think she's in grade 11.
She's 11th grade? Yeah. So, yeah, Zane's like, she's like, "No, I'm leaving you with Amanda. She's a junior in, you guys are in middle school, okay? I think she can handle you."
Fine.
Mr. Kenny nods, and he says, "Oh, you know what? Sorry, Billy, go ahead. What were you saying?"
Oh, I think Dahlia's still got some spray in her backpack if we have some bad trouble.
I do.
Good thinking.
Why don't you three duck into the hardware store? Cindy always she doesn't mind if I she leaves the back open. She doesn't mind when I come in and I always leave her a note with what I've bought and some here. And so he like brings you around to the back door of this hardware store, Cindy's hardware store, and opens up the door and kind of like shoos the three of you in. And it's like it's not dark because it's daytime, but the lights aren't on.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another store. It sells mostly hardware, but you know, a bunch of other things. There's no store sells just one thing.
Yep.
Right.
And he says,
quick-
you'll be safe in here.
Mr. Kinney has the keys to Cindy's
okay.
hardware store.
Well, she doesn't usually lock it.
Oh.
So
The now Northern Ontario fact side note, a hardware store in a small town is also usually where you can purchase rifles.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just
nice.
Just
so
just throwing that out
is
there.
locked though. Like it's locked.
oh yes, 100%. Yeah,
Because
no,
of
it will be in a,
provincial law.
yeah, it would 100% be in a a locked cabinet at least. But just want to be aware in case anything terrible goes down. I'm setting that out now.
I like that little detail a lot. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Kinney, you and me, we need to head to the to this meeting to see what's going on. Billy, if something happens, you know what to do.
Yes.
What
Yes.
does he do? What are you saying? What does that mean, Zane? I'm kind of annoyed at being out of the loop.
You know, whenever mom and dad would take us into town, they always said if we got separated, that we would all meet up at the pharmacy, and so that's what happens if you have to get out of here. If you need to make your way back to the pharmacy eventually, and we'll meet there. If things go bad, that's where we're meeting. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. That's good thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And be careful. Don't take any chances. Don't try to be a hero.
Well, you just don't get your minds wiped while you're in there with the MIB, okay?
Okay. Good idea.
If they start doing stuff, you should leave. Like if they're like, please line up right here in this line and look at this thing. Don't do it. Don't look at it.
Don't worry, Gollybug. I know exactly what to watch out for.
All right. Let's go. We need I think the meeting's starting soon.
All right, so you leave the three youngest of your group unattended in a hardware store with rifles, and you head off to this meeting. So once you get there, it's very crowded. Everybody in the town is here, and you kind of standing room in the back, and you sort of shuffle along, and yeah, what are you looking for in this room specifically, Zane? I want to hear.
First of all, I want to see who's here. I want to see people that I recognize. My parents would be high up on that list.
Sure.
Not expecting to see them, but still looking for them.
Okay.
Also people like Grist or anybody else that I recognize, and just like he would have seen in sort of like action movies, he's looking for suspicious behavior, but he doesn't really know what that means.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like he's just looking for people that are acting suspiciously.
Out of place.
Yeah.
So you see just about everybody you know. there's maybe 300 people crammed into this hall. And it's not the entire population of the town, but you notice a lot of your dad's coworkers are there. And so whatever Mr. Billings said about closing the mine sounds like he was telling the truth. Let's get a brains roll. I think a brains roll would be good.
Zane's brains.
Zane's brains.
Really should have gone.
Yeah. So I'll set this. I'll set the DC at a 5 for this one.
Okay. All right. I don't think there's anything I've got in my favor to help me. It's just a straight brains roll. This isn't my best roll. So let's see what happens.
Oh man.
I got a 5.
Hey,
Wow,
you did
nice.
it. So you narrate your success. What does Zane see that is unusual, out of place in Middle Grape, Ontario?
People wearing sunglasses inside.
Well, I don't know that he would find that unusual. Like,
He'd
You
be
know,
like,
like-
oh, that's really
like-
cool. I should.
yeah,
That's cool.
exactly. He'd be
You
like,
watch us
"Oh,
Saved
man."
by the Bell.
Yeah, exactly. So he's looking around. He sees these people that he recognizes. He otherwise would have thought that would be the strange thing, but he's like used to seeing these government-looking agents by now. But what one thing he's noticing is that there's a couple up towards the front. Like, obviously some people are getting people together to have like I don't know, like a town meeting style talk. So there's a microphone up front and people up there getting ready to talk. But off in the corners there's like groups of 2 and 3 of these agents all standing there. But on the sides and on the corners, there's people that are like looking through the crowd, and they'll be like whisper over to one and then point into the crowd and then nod, and then somebody picks up holds a radio, says something into it, and then someone else on the other side picks up a radio and then walks out a door in the back.
All right.
And so Zane, of course, is like, I've got to follow that guy. You know, it's his like Beverly Hills Cop, like instincts.
So you, the meeting begins, and Inspector Grist is standing off to the side of the sort of a raised platform, and the mayor of the town, Janice Johnson, is she stands up in front of everyone and speaks into a squealy microphone.
Zane is gonna start slowly making his way towards the edge of the room, not like very obviously, but he wants to get to where that person was going, but he knows he's got to take his time because there's people around. But before he left, he whispered to Mr. Kenny and pointed out Grist and says, "That's Grist. That's the guy."
I'm gonna add one more detail that you notice. Everybody, all the agents around the room are dressed the same, and they're all wearing caps or sunglasses. They've all got the exact same haircut. They look. Yeah, they're definitely
like they could be twins.
Uniform. Yeah, I don't know if you quite are close enough to get that, and they look very, very, very similar.
Okay.
So you're kind of edging your way to where this guy is heading out. Excellent. And so Ms. Johnson goes up to the mic and oh gosh, I hate these things. These are just. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody just hear me? And then you hear like a chorus of no's. She goes, all right, okay. Everyone, Inspector Grist has asked me to to assemble you all so we can discuss what has happened. He wanted to hold a town forum to answer any of your questions about the investigation, and let you know how you can help. And there's sort of a in the crowd. And Inspector Grist steps up to the microphone and kind of scans the room, and you see there's, general activity, but these agents, they keep doing this like weirdly coordinated look around the room, and he starts talking. He says, yes, some unusual events occurred. It starts explaining the plane crash. He's kind of saying the same thing he was on the news. We think that the mine is connected. We're investigating with some of the top engineers, and we brought in some scientists to engage with the equipment and see if they can figure it out. So he's just kind of doing his spiel about this. He talks for a couple of minutes, and he says, as far as we know, no inhabitants of Middle Grape have been harmed. Several people have been helping us with the investigation. Unfortunately, it's confidential at this time, so we will be in touch. If you haven't heard anything about your loved ones, please feel free to talk to me, and I can let you know what is going on. And so he he's still kind of, he keeps making these weird sort of longish pauses and scanning the room. Now I will take your questions. Everybody's like scrambling.
That's when Zane probably ducks a little bit and starts to make his way more quickly to where he's trying to get, because there's more commotion now,
Okay. Can you make a flight roll for me?
Absolutely.
I think I'll make this DC also a 5. Because you're kind of doing it under the cover of this distraction. It's not terribly difficult.
Absolutely. Zane is better at flight.
I was gonna say, I was wondering when we haven't used flight very much.
So, not that I want to use it right now, but now that things are, getting to here, we're seeing some more rolls. How is adversity able to be used on rolls?
So adversity tokens, if you have a planned action, and I think that this is planned, you've spent some time figuring it out, you can use an adversity token if you're with somebody to do an action that helps them, and that gives them a +1 after the roll.
Okay. Or
you can spend adversity tokens to give yourself +1. So you have a few left from last session, and I would like them to carry over.
Yeah, I know I have 3 from last session. So.
Yeah, you had a whole bunch.
Yeah, you get them for the chat, for people listening. You get them for failing rolls, and I did fail a lot last time.
it was funny.
Zane has 3, Di has 1, and Billy none.
If this is a planned action, I believe you can also just take the median die roll instead of rolling.
Yeah.
That's true. You said this kind of qualifies as because we had a plan here.
Yeah, this is a bit of a gray area because you didn't plan this specific action, but I feel like it counts, so
okay.
I'll allow it.
Then I do have a flight of 12, so the the half of that 6 would meet that that
I should
DC.
probably stop telling you all my DCs then.
Yeah. So but you did this time. So
I did this time. Joking. It's 8. You fail. No. Okay. So are you gonna take 6?
I'll take the 6. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay. So you slip out the back, where this side door, where the guy with the radio disappeared to, and what do you see? Where did this guy with the radio go?
I think he was probably being notified by some people that they're not seeing the people that they're looking for.
Right.
And so he's been told to move outside with a couple of other people who might be stationed outside to sort of reinforce what's going on outside. And he's outside, and he's started to patrol out there, and he's looking around, and walking close to any groups of people that are out there, and he's just starting to look around out there.
Okay. Billy, Dahlia, what are you and Amanda doing in this hardware store? What are two bored kids and a bored 15-year-old doing while waiting?
Well, one thing I know that Amanda is doing is trying to find a mirrored surface, because she hasn't had a chance to check her face since being through a sleet storm.
Yeah.
And that's very stressful, and she's been very stressed out by a lot of things, and that's relatively easy to fix using the supplies that a 15-year-old girl keeps in her bag.
Yeah, she finds a surface and she is a kind of a mess. Black makeup does not last well, so she looks a little bit like a goth Joker.
Oh, and yeah, 11-year-olds aren't like gonna point that out.
No, it's like
hey, just you got a little. No, so she's sort of busy doing that and not watching what we're doing. Not that she doesn't care, but just preoccupied. Dahlia, what do you?
Oh gosh.
You had an out of character suggestion.
Yeah.
So make it in character.
Yeah, actually, because like her dad has the guns, and they don't have anything to defend themselves. So she's thinking about finding the keys, Cindy's keys to the gun cabinet there,
God.
or convincing Billy to try his lockpicking skills again.
Amazing.
Just to just to make sure that we have that. Or else maybe she keeps the gun in her office. We can look in her office for the key. And
no, we can't.
Why not?
We can't use guns. Maybe you can use a gun, but we're not stealing guns.
It's not stealing. It's borrowing. We're gonna bring him back.
Well, that's temporary stealing.
Fine, I'll say I did it and you didn't do anything. How about that?
No, I don't want you to be in trouble either. And
Billy?
There's no can we use mechanics for inter-character reactions? Because I'm not married to Billy's reaction on this, and you could try to convince me.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that.
I've been playing a lot of PBTA.
I think this would be charm.
Oh God.
From Dahlia versus Billy's grit. I'm seeing that's not a great. That's not a great. Unlikely.
The odds are bad. Yeah.
Odds are bad.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah,
you're gonna do way better than me because I have a D4 in that. So
yeah.
I have to roll perfect.
Remember, Dahlia's blunt.
Wait.
Oh yeah. Amazing.
Oh shit!
That's
exploded, man.
That's right. Exploding dice. You got a
happen.
6 on that D4 there, Dahlia. You're feeling particularly convincing about getting guns.
That was beautiful.
Okay, so narrate how you charm Billy into doing this.
And Billy, go ahead and take an adversity token.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, look. It's not like we're trying to get guns to shoot them at people. It's just that we're gonna try to scare them if they try to come in, because you just fire kind of like not directly up in the air because that's bad, but kind of like off out into the woods, just to scare them a little bit, and that's all we'll do. It's fine.
Okay, well, maybe we can. This is really stressful, Dahlia.
Well, okay,
maybe we can check and we'll look in the office so that we're not breaking anything.
Okay, let's do that. So we're gonna go to Cindy's office.
We search the office.
You search the office.
Yeah, we look underneath the DOS computer.
Yeah. Oh, she doesn't have a computer.
The spot where you would have one.
Let's go with a brains roll. One of you can roll it, and you can use an adversity token to help each other out if you like.
I think I'll just roll.
I'm gonna mentally set this DC.
Oh man, that's bad.
Bad,
see.
that's real bad.
Alright,
You got
so I
a
don't get a-
D20 for brains, and you rolled a 2.
Yeah. I mean, he's not enthusiastic about this.
No, he's
fair.
not.
Yeah, you can't find it.
Okay, well.
All right.
And both take an adversity token.
Yeah. Now that good thing is now I have 2, so I can use my one of my strengths at some other later point.
Yes.
So here's what I'll say. Sometime during this sojourn in the hardware store, Billy picks up a something, and later on I'm going to spend these 2 tokens and pull it out.
Love it. Okay. All right. How do you get into this gun cabinet? Display cabinet.
Well, Dahlia wants to find maybe the keys in the office, but we didn't find those either.
No, didn't find them either. So.
I don't want to try and
just try the lockpicking thing.
and going on the same convincing from earlier. I think right around now, Amanda's probably gonna notice us.
Yeah, she'd be like, "Where the fuck are these kids?"
She's all fixed up now, and she is city wise. She knows that, you know, what lockpicks look like. She was her idea earlier to break into things. So I think as Billy's like reluctantly gonna try and like lockpick this gun safe, and probably would fail, but Amanda like basically comes over from what she was doing at that point. And I'll let you roleplay Amanda in that one, Scrim. But that's
Did you have any idea what she's gonna do, or?
Oh gosh.
I don't know if she's in favor or against this idea.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. I don't have a preference.
Why don't we get you to roll it first, and we'll see how she reacts to your failure or success.
Okay, this is brains do. Okay, I probably will succeed this time. Fingers crossed. Let's see. All right, there we go.
So you are. It takes a couple of tries, but you are able to successfully unlock it. And she comes around and sees what you're doing as you slide this open.
See?
And
We didn't even scratch it.
He's like, at the same time as he does that, he's like self-mortified. He's like, no, I should just. I'm just gonna close it again. And then Amanda.
She kind of looks at the two of you and she says, I think, honestly, deep down, she's like waiting for an adult to stop you all. But she just kind of realizes, no, we're handling this shit. And she saes, good idea. And
Have you
one of the guns.
Have you shot a gun before, Amanda?
No.
Oh shit.
Billy looks at Amanda in very near to disappointment that this has not been stopped by the de facto adult.
Yeah.
And then he just sort of crestfallen, and all these guns. He's too small to use any of these big rifles anyway. So
for sure. Yeah. And I'm sure Dahlia knows her stuff though. I'm sure she's shot a gun with her dad.
Yeah. And like, cause there are, and I had some like in real life for a while. They have rifles and shotguns that are made for small people because I'm a small person. So like they'll have something that's not like for a full like giant grown-ass man adult person. Like they'll have ones that are relatively small enough to not to kick you to the ground when you fire them.
So you don't have to saw it off.
Exactly.
On further examination of the gun cabinet, I believe that we could also find like a pellet gun.
Yep.
Like a BB gun.
Sure.
Which would be the kind of thing that other 11-year-old boys might own.
Yeah.
But not Billy.
So yeah, so she'll go through and she'll be like, oh, and it's like, here, this will be perfect for you, Billy. It's just a pellet gun.
So what Billy's gonna do? He's gonna take it and then he's gonna kind of like set it down. He's rummaging around in his backpack, and he pulls out $6.78 from his backpack, which is what he said here. And he says, "Well, this is all I got, and maybe we should. Your dad said that he leaves a note, so we can leave a note too.
Of course, we'll
Right?
definitely leave a note.
We can do that. Is that? I don't know what's a good idea anymore. Everything's crazy.
Amanda, maybe you should have a pellet gun too. If you haven't shot a gun before.
What would Amanda do?
Like Amanda getting talked down to by this 11-year-old kid saying you haven't shot a gun, so you should just have this toy.
She's indignant for sure. She says, "I don't need I can have a real gun," and she reaches past and grabs like the biggest rifle. And can barely hold it up.
What I really want for Amanda though, and I don't. This probably isn't here because it wouldn't be in a small town, but I really want a crossbow. Amanda feels like a crossbow.
I feel like a crossbow fits Dahlia a lot the most out of this entire
true.
You're not wrong.
You know what? I'm game.
Okay.
Kenny has a crossbow, so Cindy stocks ammo for him, and she does have one there.
Whoa, man. Maybe I'll have a crossbow.
Yeah. I feel
less
all right. So
knocked over.
So I will get the crossbow, and I will take that gun back that she put, like the giant rifle, and put it back, and then like get a shotgun that is much more her size.
Yeah. She's like, yeah. This one is great.
Yes.
And then she like gets you to show her how to load it. And
all right.
I feel like Dahlia is definitely the Daryl Dixon of this group, you know. Like,
so she's like, okay, rule number 1: you see this end, and she's pointing at the business end.
Yeah.
Don't point this at a person unless you plan on killing them. Got it? Not even yourself. Don't point it at nobody. If you're gonna hold it and you're gonna hold it loaded, you gotta hold it down. And so she's like going through and like teaching it
gun safety 101.
Gun safety 101. It's like that her dad has like now instilled into her, like, you know, if you point it at somebody, you're gonna pull the trigger. That's the whole point of a gun. So don't point it at anybody. Don't do that. Especially if you've never shot anyone before. I mean, I haven't shot anyone, but still, you know, the whole point.
So 2 things happen at this moment. Zane, as you're watching, you see the investigators
Oh
heading toward the hardware store to walk past it.
Oh shit.
And those of you on the inside, you see a dark shape pass in front of the door.
Duck.
Kind of in the middle of Dahlia's big explanation.
Right.
And they pause, and I imagine you all kind of hide.
Yes.
Real quick.
Oh, yes.
But then you see this person stops and looks in the door.
It's just one? You said it's one or two of them?
One investigator.
Okay. Zane's I'm gonna look around, see if there's anything heavy and hard on the ground around me. A rock, a pipe, anything.
Yeah, there's a giant chunk of ice.
A giant chunk of ice. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So he's gonna pick that up, and like one of his strengths is he's protective, especially of his little brother who is inside that hardware store. And he's becoming more and more protective. You know, he's protective of Dahlia as well. Like, he's always kind of like a babysitter to both of them. So very much so, but then, you know, more and more so protective of Amanda as well. He left them there. He asked them to stay there. And so he's sort of like kicking into like protective mode. So he picks up that chunk of ice, and he's going to try to make his way over there. While he's going over there, though, he's going to spin his backpack around and pull out. So he's got a chunk of ice in one hand, and in the other hand, he's pulling out a can of hairspray that he's got in his backpack.
I love it. So you're approaching this guy. The other 3, you hear a rattling on the door like he's trying to open it. And I think we're going to take our break right there.
Nice.
Oh, why we're always cliffhanger.
I wait for them.
Perfect. It's almost
so
like
we
you
will
planned
take-
that.
What? Okay, so we will take 5. 5 good for everybody?
5 sounds great for me.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll be back in 5 minutes. Everybody, tell people and get them to come on and join us, and we'll be back in 5 minutes to see what happens.
All right. See you in a bit.
Hey everybody, we're back from our break and ready for more Kids on Bikes.
Kids on snowmobiles.
Kids on snowmobiles.
Kids on snowshoes. Yeah.
Kid with bikes
Kids
up in the top
on
of the garage.
almost bikes, but when we were presented with the option, opted not to.
Theoretical bikes.
Yeah.
They didn't have their snow tires on their bikes.
Yeah. They didn't have chains on their bikes.
Yeah, no chains on their bikes. No tire chains on their bikes.
They didn't have those. What are those ones called that are the ones with the big wheels? Pugs? I can't remember.
Oh jeez, I don't know.
I don't remember,
I don't
but
know.
those are not in existence yet.
Not yet, no. Okay, well, here we are. Zane is approaching these investigators who are outside the hardware store. They've noticed some kind of commotion as Billy, Dahlia, and Amanda cabinet here in this store. Zane knows they're in there, sees the investigator rattling, and is got his hairspray and his big chunk of spiky ice. It's just covered in like all the ice that came from the ice storm last night. Yeah, you're heading up to defend your friends.
Yeah, for sure.
Ooh, on the inside when you hear this rattling.
What do they do on the inside of the?
Yeah. And you can respond for Amanda too, Bobby.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Well, Amanda's
Billy's
clutching her
first
gun,
reaction was hide.
her new gun that she just got, but her instinct is to be scared. Like that's the permeating feeling right now for Amanda is fear. She's trying to escape what these people she believes are inevitably going to do to her, which is abduct her and something. You know, she's gonna meet the same fate that she believes her parents met. So.
I think Billy at first wants to hide, but then he really wants to see what's happening, and how many people there are.
Oh man. Yeah, I think Dahlia's kind of like crouched down behind the cabinets and is just like kind of reached up and grabbed like the bolts, like just a pack, like just like the bolts. Yeah. And stuffed those into her backpack and then got a pellet package of the pellets and just like handing it like slowly over to Billy, like you need it. It's like, what are you doing?
So
hiding.
Billy is like crawling over toward the window to try and look out, and as Zane does whatever he's doing.
Yeah, I want to take a moment for just a moment and look at this scene. There's these three kids. Each of them has some sort of like ranged weapon of some kind, like a gun or anything. And then take a moment and flash back to the last thing that Zane said to the three of them, which was, "Don't be a hero."
Zane is learning one of the first lessons in parenting.
So I think in this situation, Amanda is looking around and seeing what's happening, and she doesn't know what to do, but she does remember that Zane sort of like de facto left her, not de facto, like he more or less implied that he wanted her to be in charge. You know, by saying like you guys, like saying to the kids, like, you guys are 11 years old and she's a junior in high school. Like she's like, yeah, I am. You know, I'm in charge here. I'm responsible for these people, and so she makes a joke. One of her things is she makes jokes in uncomfortable situations. And she says, maybe they just want, maybe they're just looking for directions. And so she makes her way up to the door, and I think. Oh
my God, she's going to the door now?
Yeah. Well, I think so. She's gonna go answer the door, but at the same time that she's gonna answer the door is, I think, when Zane sneaks right up behind this guy, right?
I think that cinematically this is real good.
Yeah.
Especially if she opens the door, thus throwing the guy off balance at the same time that Zane is attacking.
Yeah, exactly. I think she opens the door, and right then is when, because he sees her, he's like, oh, and then right then Zane goes, says something like, hey buddy, and waits for him to, like, he's right behind him, hey buddy, and then as soon as he turns around, hopefully, he's gonna spray him with the hairspray in the eyes, and then smash him over the head with the ice.
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna give you a +1 because Amanda's slamming open the door at the same time, and I will get you to roll your fight against his brawn.
All right. So at this point, am I able to use adversity to help me out?
Yes, I think you can use it after the fact as well.
Like, I don't have to decide now?
Roll, but before I tell you the result.
Okay. So, and the adversity is just like I can use them to add pluses to my result, right?
Yeah, each adversity point you spend is worth 1.
All right, well, good. If I can do that after the roll, then I definitely will, because protective. Okay. He's protective, and that gives him a +3 to any rolls where he's protecting people that he cares about. So I'm gonna roll fight. Let me switch over to so we can see Zane's stats here. We'll roll fight. And I've got a +1 from you, and I get the +4 from protective, and we'll see what happens. Here we go. 12. Okay, before you tell me, let me think for a minute. I'm thinking for a minute. So 12 is a solid roll for Zane, but is it gonna beat this guy? That's what I need to think about for a second.
Honestly, that's really good.
Well, okay, so if he's statted like a regular character, he's got a D20 and a D12 that could possibly meet that.
Right. I know that his brawn is probably pretty good because we've dealt with these guys before.
Yeah, didn't get hurt.
And they were no schlubs. I think. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and see if I can just max this out as best I can. I really want this to go well for Zane. Because I think this is kind of like also a turning point in his character. So I'm going to go ahead and use all 3 of those adversity points and make that a 15.
Ooh, bold choice.
Yeah.
So there is a mechanism in this game where when you succeed by a certain factor, so you succeeded by 10 or more.
Oh, shoot! Yeah.
Wow! Nice.
The character succeeds smoothly and easily. Likely, it looks like the character is just showing off, or that the task is done so readily that it happens without any effort at all. At the GM's discretion, there could be some unexpected positive results.
Oh, this is perfect for Zane because it happens in front of Amanda as well.
In front of Amanda.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so go ahead and tell me how smoothly and effortlessly.
So I think it just happens exactly as Zane imagined it in his head right before it was going to happen. He sneaks up, the door opens. That's a boon for him. He didn't expect that, but that's great. As soon as the door opened, that triggers him into action. He's like, hey, buddy. And the guy turns around. He's like, huh? Because he just saw Amanda, which is, who he's looking for. So he's caught off guard by that. Then he's like, what? And he turns around and sees Zane. Zane sprays him in the face. He's like, ah! And then immediately smashes him on the side of the head. This ice just shatters, and he falls and collapses straight to the ground. And Zane, cool as a cucumber, watches this guy fall down, looks down, grabs his walkie-talkie, clips it to his belt, grabs whatever like sidearm or gun he might have, sticks it in the back of his pants, and he walks, and then he just walks into the into the store.
And so I think that when you turn into walk into the store, you see Amanda there, and she's like,
he says,
just jaw dropped, like.
He says,
like doe-eyed, you're my hero. Just
yeah. Like, she doesn't want to think that, but she is kind of thinking that.
It's like, wow, he's so badass.
Well, for anybody who might not have seen the first episode, she was already sort of like having emotions for Zane, right? So, she was already becoming connected to him. So he walks in and he says, he nods to her. He like gives her that like nod, you know, like the head. And he says, "How you guys doing in here?"
Oh my god, that's so badass.
And then you see that she's got this like
big ass
she's
gun.
got like this 28 gauge like shotgun, and then you see like Billy crawling across the floor with his little airsoft.
I think that kind of like breaks the spell for Zane, and he's like, "What is?" He's like, "Billy, what do you have a gun for?" But then, like at the same time, you see that he's got a gun in his hand.
Everybody has guns. How did we all get armed?
We're children.
The children of this town are all armed now. Yeah.
Yeah. all the cool ones. Zane, maybe just like get close the door.
Right. Okay.
Drag him in too.
Yeah. Me and Amanda
Right.
drag the guy in and pull him in, and Zane says, to Amanda, he was like, "That was really close. This guy was looking for you. They're all looking for us." Okay.
What do you mean, all of them?
I went into that meeting, and they're all over the place in there. They're looking around in the crowd. That grist guy is talking to the whole crowd, and sounds like he's just stalling. Like it looked like he's just trying to get everybody in the same place, because they're all scanning the crowd. And this guy here got a walkie-talkie message. I think they saw that they weren't seeing who they were looking for, and he went out to go search out here. And thank goodness I showed up. He says.
She's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I think at that moment the walkie-talkie crackles, and it over the walkie-talkie you hear a very strange sound.
Yeah. Shh.
It's like this creaking, bellowing, whispering sound that makes no sense at all, and then it just stops. And Amanda goes, "Oh my god! Oh my god!
What
I've
is
heard
it?
that sound before. That's the sound that when I open a portal I can hear it. That's the exact sound that it makes. Oh my god!
That's the sound the portal makes?
Yes. I do you not hear that? And none of you have heard that when you make the portal.
Huh.
No.
No. When you make the portal, it kind of sounds like a lightning storm or something.
Yeah. It's really loud. It's not like that.
You hear the sound again coming over the radio.
Yeah, no. No, I've never heard that sound before.
Dahlia is going to the fastener section and pulls about like a package of zip ties out and starts going over to the the dude on the floor. It's gonna like zip tie his hands together.
Dahlia, what kind of movies does your dad let you watch?
Yeah, no kidding.
I was gonna just get some ropes. That's much faster.
He might be able to break through rope, but zip ties, I'm pretty sure, are a lot harder to break through. At least they are in the movies.
And you hear Okay. All right. So you tie this guy up. You don't hear anything at the moment. I want to see what kind of plans you guys are.
Yeah, definitely tie him up and cover his face with like a bag or something. Not like like a cloth bag. We're not gonna put a plastic bag over his head. We're not murderers here. A paper bag if we have to. Something opaque. We still have the problem where we have to find mom and dad.
Right.
Where's is Dahlia's dad still in the meeting?
Yes. I left him
okay.
there.
Should we should we wait or should we go? If everybody's in the meeting, maybe
I have an idea. So we can go to the pharmacy, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
We can get makeup, and she looks over at Amanda, and we can get makeup that's not black. And then we can get hair dye, and we can dye your hair. So yeah, you look like a totally different person. And then we can do the same with us if you want. And then we will be able to sneak out of town and nobody will even know who we are. And then we can go to the mine and find your mom and dad.
This is a good long-term solution. But right now I don't think we're gonna have a problem sneaking out of town. Everybody's in this meeting. Like, everyone. I was just outside the meeting, and it's like a ghost town out there. Except for this guy. But now it's fine.
Should we take the thing that makes the sounds with us?
The walkie-talkie?
Yes.
We gotta find mom and dad. And Billy like holds on to his head. He's like, he goes in his backpack and pulls out his trusty geology hammer, and he says, he hands it to Zane, and he says, Zane, I think you should get a car.
I do too, but Mom hasn't got me one yet.
No, but I if everybody's at the meeting, you know how people always just sort of like leave the keys in the car.
Wait a minute.
And stuff.
Wait a minute. And then he just immediately leaves.
We just get a car and we go because we have to find mom and dad.
He immediately leaves and runs over to the guy that they just knocked out and searches his pockets for keys.
Black SUV. Yes.
Yeah, you find keys in his pocket.
We're taking their car. We're gonna take their car.
Does it have a remote? Like, can we go boop 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 to find the?
This is
no, it's 1994.
Okay.
I don't think they have
Okay. Well, fortunately, there's only 5 black SUVs to choose from.
They're all parked right in front of the community center.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
So
we could just
probably the place where you're most likely to get caught, but not impossible.
No, I don't.
How big is? How tall is this guy compared to me? Could I wear his clothes?
He's bigger than you.
Okay, because I am 17. I'm almost done growing.
I mean,
yeah. He's just bigger than you.
Like bulkier than me.
Like
Okay.
you know how teenage boys like are skinny until they're like 20.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Could I pull it off? Is what I'm asking. If the answer is no, then that's fine. Well, I'll try. I'll try. I'll try his clothes on.
So you go to take his clothes off, and they don't come off.
What?
He's like a video game character. His clothes are part of his body.
What the?
It's horrifying. You go to take the zipper, and you kind of like pull, and there's no like give to it. It's like attached to him, and you kind of like. You notice too that as he moves, his clothes are like moving with his butt. They're not moving independently of him.
I think I'm yanking at the zipper.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and once I make that realization, I'm immediately disgusted. So like
it's super horrifying and creepy. Yeah.
I go, oh God, his clothes. It's
what? And Amanda kind of goes over and like grabs it and like yanks at it and goes, oh my God.
I'm gonna Was he wearing like a hat or sunglasses or anything?
This one was, wearing a pair of
Okay.
sunglasses.
I'm gonna take the paper bag that off of his head that we had, and I'm gonna try to pull off his sunglasses.
They do come off.
Okay.
Oh,
what about
well,
I don't
what
know.
does he look like under those sunglasses?
He looks like Inspector Grist.
That's
You just saw on the stage talking!
yeah. So
impossible.
so they probably are instinctively think that we got Grist,
Mm-hmm.
but Zane says that's impossible. That is impossible. That is
What?
Grist is inside. That's not Grist.
What?
Maybe he's got an identical twin brother who has the same job.
Who has their clothes glued to them?
Right?
Suddenly, it starts to dawn on Zane that everybody kind of looked the same.
Yeah, you're putting it together now, yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna put the bag back over his face.
Good idea.
Yeah, like it's so horrifying.
No. Every single one of these guys that was in there, they all look the same. They all look like this guy. There is something freaky going on here.
We need to get out of town.
Let's go.
You guys
Let's
stay
do
here.
it.
I'm gonna stick my head out the door and see, is there anybody outside in front of the community center?
It's still pretty abandoned right
Okay.
now. So there's the SUVs parked right in front by the doors, and then there's people just parked up and down the street. If you start walking, you're within a few paces of a car.
Okay.
Take the first one with keys and go.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Zane is going to tell them to all stay here, but he clearly, it's been demonstrated he has no real authority over them.
Oh, Dahlia is going to find a piece of scratch paper and write a note saying something that we borrowed. We borrowed some stuff and we'll bring it back. Signed, Mr. Kinney. And then shoves it into the cash drawer.
Zane's gonna start
awesome.
checking. Zane's just checking doors, car doors at this point.
Yeah, so you find, you go through a couple of them, and you see one with the keys in the ignition. It's a 1985 Buick Electra. It's a massive station wagon, a boat of a car, and yeah, it is. It's got probably good enough, like it's got studded tires, good enough to drive you through this ice.
So it's not one of these
Isn't
black
like-
SUVs, but we did find a car that has keys in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does it have a tape deck?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know, 1985 cars, probably, sure.
I think so. I think they
Oh,
have
yeah.
tape decks.
Tape deck for sure.
Has anybody got any Beastie Boys tapes? I feel like
I've
they're
got my
really
mixtapes, and I'm pretty sure that there's a Beastie Boys song on there. Just letting you know.
I'm just Bobby's feeling a Beastie Boys vibe right now. So.
You know what? I am also feeling that. That's good stuff. God, I wish I had the rights.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You all know the song that we're thinking of right now,
so
people.
here's
Is it
So
too
here's
early
what
for
we're-
sabotage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, I think that's approximately right now.
Yeah.
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 Especially
Especially since we're walking out of the hardware store with like
Yeah.
Just-
Guns.
I
a
also
shotgun, an airsoft rifle.
I
It's
have
perfect
this-
because
fucking
Sabotage was released in '94, so it's
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's current. It's on the radio. I have this
Yes.
image of us driving up to the uranium plant and just plowing through the gate.
Okay, so you all get into this car, you throw your guns and backpacks in the back. You put in Dahlia's mixtape and you play Sabotage, and you pull out. I want to see.
oh gosh.
This is gonna be a flight roll from Zane. You're driving this car, trying to get away.
You can do it, Zay.
Flights, and I'm out of adversity, so that's good. But flight.
How many can I spend some to support Zane? remind him?
Flight's one of
yeah,
my
okay.
flight's a D12 for me. So
It's just if needed. I've got.
all right,
I've
good to
got
know. Good to
4,
know.
so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and just roll a straight D12 and let's see what happens. Well, that's a 3.
All right. Well, you got yourself a new adversity token. So you pull out, and you are not, as a novice driver, you are not used to this slick skating rink of a road that's going on right now. Even with studded tires, you have almost no traction. So you turn to go onto the road, and the turn doesn't take, like you're turning and you just go straight into the car in front of you, and there's a loud smash.
Whose 2 cars did we just? Whose car did we steal? And whose car did we hit?
Oh man.
You don't know that. Yeah, you. I think though, you know what? I think you would recognize the car you hit as Mr. Billings' car.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what he gets.
Just saying, just going.
Take that, Mr. Billings. All right, I'm gonna pop it into reverse and try to, with my newfound experience, try to get
the good news with Oldsmobiles is that they were fucking tanks in the 80s.
yeah.
Like you couldn't even bend the frame on those if you ran into a concrete building.
Yeah, my first car, Bobby's first car driving was a similar car. I drove a 86 Caprice Classic as my first car, and yeah, the whole thing was made out of steel, and and I imagine I've got some great stories about that car, but now is neither the time nor the place for that. Not to,
Zane still needs to make some memories with the car.
yeah, so we're
before he
gonna
gets to talk about that. Oh gosh.
yeah, I'm gonna try. I guess I'm just gonna get going. You know, a little bit of a more careful approach, because he was just like he's in still in action movie mode, right? So that's why he probably slid out, you know. And so he's like, okay, maybe I need to calm down a little bit.
All right, so you take this and manage to get yourself out after a couple of false starts, and you like squeal out to the onto the road toward the uranium mine, and I think that this, like, Amanda's sitting on the opposite side of it. She's got shotgun.
Get it. Hey, get it,
yeah. She's on the opposite side, and it bowls her into you. She's not wearing her seatbelt. She tumbles across and like falls right up against Zane, and she is kind of surprised, aghast, and like, sorry, sorry.
Zane
shuffle over.
Zane instinctively puts his arm around her. He doesn't even realize he's doing it. He just he's got like one arm on the because they're going down the road now, and then instinctively, like, he protectively puts his arm.
I think she kind of tries it. She shuffles away and then just sort of sits there and just kind of like, you're it's really icy. Hey,
yeah. You're right. And he puts both his hands on the wheel now. And,
10 and 2, man. 10 and 2.
I feel like that's exactly what Dahlia said.
All right. So you are off to the uranium mine in this car. Oh, this turned out so great.
Yeah, I think as we're driving up, it's like there's so much adrenaline. We're all just like adrenaline spiking nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
So Zane takes out some of his smushed granola bars for a snack.
Billy does?
Billy does, yeah. Billy, sorry, my bad.
Sorry, you can take control of my character for a minute if you want.
No, it's fine. You don't have any smushed granola bars.
Right, well, that's why I was correcting you.
Yeah, no, Billy takes a lot of the snack. They're just there in the bottom, smushed by everything else.
Yeah. How long of a drive is it to the uranium mine?
Oh, probably about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. It's yeah, maybe a little longer because it's kind of icy and slow.
Yeah.
Bit of a winding. It's up as well, so a bit of a winding drive. Yeah. Does anyone have anything to say on the way, or are you just listening to Sabotage and trying to process?
Guys, what are we gonna do when we get there? What's the plan?
Meanwhile, Billy and Dahlia are in the back, like not wearing seatbelts, sliding across because they just like having some fun with
It was the mid '90s. People didn't really care as much about seatbelts back then yet.
Oh, you never got in a car with my dad. Amanda says, it's not the same thing that happened at my dad's lab, but Gris showed up and he was asking him questions, and my dad was showing him some of his equipment, and he sent me home on the train, so I went home, and the next day he was gone. It wasn't so big, and there's only one of him. I've never seen more than one. This is big. I don't know how. He can't be human, can he?
That clothes thing was really weird.
Oh,
he's an alien.
I'm telling you, that sound, I've never heard it anywhere but when I make a portal. It's
Tell me what happens when you make a portal, like what is the experience like for you, and I guess I'll try to explain as best I can what it's like for me, but I mentioned for Zane it's just like you go through and you end up on the other side, but
pretty much.
I don't know. Is there an experience in the in between spaces? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's you do kind of feel, what's what I'm looking for, like a disconnect, like you leave your body for a second.
Yeah.
Like you can't feel yourself for just a split second. It's quite disorienting, but other than that, like it's not, nothing seems strange to you, other than the actual fact that you're doing it. I think Amanda kind of gets this distant look, and she says, it's hard to describe, but whenever I open one, I hear that groaning, creaking sound. And there's been times when I just open it up just to listen, but sometimes it gets louder and more intense, and I always found that really scary, so I would turn it off, but until I close it, it just keeps making that sound, and it goes from, I feel fine for the first little bit, but if I leave it open too long, I feel tired, I get a headache, and I'm afraid. It's this, I'm just terrified that something's gonna jump out at me, or I mean, nothing ever has. I just, yeah. So, and if it's bigger, like the ones we've gone through have been really loud, but the smaller ones are just kind of whispers.
You said your dad he catches himself saying the past tense. You said your dad is a physicist?
Yeah.
And did you know what he did? Like what kind of experiments he did?
No, not really. It was something with radiology. I think he even worked for this mine a couple of times. I remember him coming. He sometimes comes up north to mines. I don't really know. Yeah.
We're gonna find out what's going on.
We're gonna find your dad too.
I hope so.
Yeah, we will.
Maybe they're hiding.
What do you mean?
Well, it's obvious that Billy's mom went home after she was at the airport and she said she was going to go get her dad. Maybe they hid somewhere.
So they haven't gotten them yet. They're just hiding? I mean,
No, Dolly, they would. Mom and Dad would never hide without us.
I mean, they might have gone home. We left pretty soon after all this started happening, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to the uranium mine. We're going to find out what's going on there. Who knows? Maybe
well, they couldn't have gone home because they weren't at the meeting.
Our parents weren't at the meeting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they wouldn't have been home, or else they would be going to the meeting, because that's what adults do. They go to meetings.
Good point.
Yeah.
that's true. They do love meetings.
One time, Dad said that they had a meeting about when they were gonna have a different.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that sounds horrible.
What's the point of that?
I don't know.
Look, there's the uranium mine.
Perfect. Okay, so are we gonna stop at the gate thing, or are we?
So there is a gate thing. There's definitely a gate. Past the barbed wire fence and all of the radiation warnings and PPE warnings, it's got like a gate that kind of rolls out like this. And there is a little guard house there. It is empty. And you see beyond you see the tailings pond. You can see the main operations that are going on kind of deeper in the mountain. There's sort of you can see where the excavation has been. And then there's some squat concrete buildings that are right at the base of the mountain. There's you can see, I think you would probably be watching for this, that there are security cameras as well. Watching the door. The gate.
Okay. Cameras.
Are there fences we can climb, or are they just barbed wire
all
fences?
Have barbed wire, yeah.
Okay, well, there's not anybody in the booth. Maybe there's a button we can just. Can we just open the gate?
I think that's our only choice.
And Amanda,
drive through the gate.
Well, maybe we'll try to open it first. I can go look for the button. And then Amanda, having noticed these cameras, I think, would she be able to use like a tiny portal to just like stick her hand up there and push the camera the other way?
Yeah, she absolutely would.
That sounds like not too intensive of something to do.
Yeah. I think that'll just cost a point, and you don't have to roll for it because that's very easy for her.
That is, I thought that's sort of
just pointing all of the cameras to
just push them so they're not looking at us coming up in.
Okay, so she's down to 5 points.
Okay, Billy hops out and tries to find a button to open the gate inside this abandoned guardhouse thing.
Yeah, I think you find it easily enough. You fiddle around a little bit, and it
and he jumps back in the car and slides in too far and has to reach way up. And okay,
put the car in drive and go on in.
So it is the last time either of you were here, you were quite a bit younger, and the mine was pretty new, and your mom had to work, so you had to go visit dad at work, and he had you in in one of the offices. Like maybe Billy was coloring, maybe Zane was reading a book or something, and you remember there being people everywhere. There was trucks operating. There was noise. Right now, it's silent.
Oh, wow.
This is weird.
And you see the building ahead of you. This low concrete building is where your dad works. This is like his main office. And there's a second building that is a little bit bigger. And it has a lot more warnings on it. So this office building, there's no uranium that's stored here. But the second building, they do process and sort, and they do some other things there, as far as you know. But that's kind of the extent of your knowledge.
Well, if I were a government agency trying to find out what's going on with all this stuff, where would I go in a uranium mine? I don't know. This is well, we can, I guess the logical place that it makes sense that a kid, even a 17-year-old kid, would think to do is to park is to go to where he knows, which is where the part where his dad works.
Okay.
So that's where I'm gonna drive.
And where his car would also be. Where is our family car?
Yes. You see, as a matter of fact, you see both of your parents' cars parked here.
Billy, look.
Billy is like elated to see this, but also, it's terrifying because but also, it's not like they're not here.
Right.
So he's just like, oh my gosh, Dahlia, that's Mom and Dad's cars.
Yeah.
They are here.
Awesome.
He's like, asthma puffer.
Don't worry, we'll find them soon. If their car's here, then they have to be here.
Yeah, adults are always around their cars.
It's
like they don't even know how to walk anymore.
Like, how could they possibly get anywhere else without their car?
All right, so I'm gonna park the car, and what does our dad do for I don't remember. What does our dad do at this mine? Is he like in a sort of an
he's
office?
The big boss.
Yeah, he's the head engineer, so he's in charge of not of like the actual mining of the place, but the engineering side of things.
So he works in an office is probably the case.
For the most part, yeah. He sometimes does he gets out into the operations, but most of the time he's in his office.
Yeah. He is a white hard hat.
Yeah. So I park there next to their cars. First thing I'm going to do is get out and put the keys in my pocket. I'm going to go to I'm going to park next to their cars. I'm going to look inside their cars and see if I see anything out of unusual. That's all.
Okay.
I think Billy's gonna just go ahead and try the doors too.
Let's make Zane. What would this be? Let's make it another brains roll.
Yeah, Zane's got brains.
Zane's got a brain.
Dahlia is very uncomfortable here because we're around like a place where there's a bunch of uranium, and uranium means there's radiation, and that means that people can turn into radioactive monsters.
Yeah,
that's true.
So she's very nervous because she doesn't want to run into anything like that. So she's like kind of like invoking like her dad, getting like her pack all ready, making sure the bear sprays like she's like stuffing the bear spray like in her like the side of her pants just to have access to it. And then she's got like her crossbow out, and then she made sure that she has like the quick release like for pulling back the crossbow to make sure that she can reload it fast.
Putting up your hood to hide the
putting up the hood.
radiation.
Yeah, you got like everything. Like she's just like, oh my gosh, we're gonna be going in there, and who knows what kind of terrifying beasts hide in a uranium mine.
All right.
That's awesome.
Holy shnikes! I rolled a 21 on a D8 brains roll.
Shit, man.
Oh boy,
that's awesome.
So fun fact that
that was a double explosion of the 8.
That's awesome. I realized you actually can't roll higher than a 20.
All right. Well, there you go.
Which is, yeah, I mean, okay. But, yeah, our legendary 44 was still in 20. However, I feel like the higher you get above 20, like, there's going to be some allowances. Okay, yeah. What does Zane's eagle elven eyes see?
Okay. Oh, man. I don't know. It's hard to say what I see when I don't know what I should be seeing. But I'm gonna see. Everything in the car seems to be in place, right? Like there's nothing unusual, in the car. Like all the everything that I'm used to seeing is there. But one thing I do notice is that Dad's lunchbox is on the floorboard of the passenger seat in the car, and that seems unusual to Zane, because why would he have left it there? If he had gone to work, like the cars are there, he went to work, right? Mm-hmm. So the lunchbox is on the floor, and he doesn't quite understand why that would be. And he looks around and sees that the office building where his dad works, the front door is kind of like just hanging open. And
I'm gonna add one other thing that you noticed.
Yeah.
On your mom's car. So they're both covered in ice from this ice storm, pebbled ice, the entire car. This is normal. You'd have to scrape it off if you got out there.
Yeah.
You notice that your mom's car has the sheen of ice is broken around the driver's door handle, and it's broken in a pattern that seems to indicate that the driver's door was opened after the ice storm. So at some point this morning, this door was opened.
Interesting. So he sees all that. He's starting to get very suspicious, sees the door hanging open in the front, seeing things are looking strange. Zane's going to head to the back, open the back of the station wagon they stole, and grab the pistol that he took off of the Grist clone and put it into his pants.
Oh boy.
Have you even shot a gun before, Zane?
He's not listening.
He's gonna shoot his butt off.
Oh no. He tucked it into the front of his pants.
To shoot something else off.
He's gonna say, Billy, something's going on here. I think they're inside.
Well, let's go find them. And Billy's like, gonna go.
Amanda.
Billy's running into a building by himself. Dahlia's like chasing after.
Billy, wait! Amanda, Are you okay? Are you sure you want to? You can stay here if you want.
She looks very determined and looks over at you and says, I'm not gonna stay behind. I have to. Why does everybody keep saying that to me?
I just know we're going further into
Amanda,
into
come on.
Yeah, it's like, haven't you watched Alien? You can't separate people or else the monsters will kill you one by one.
I can snowshoe. I can shoot a gun. I can investigate things.
That's great. Then let's do it.
Billy enters the building.
He can detect her frustration with him, so he's not gonna press.
She kind of huffs past him and follows Billy.
Yep.
Zane's bringing up the rear.
Yeah, Zane's Zane's being like overly mellow, like action movie melodramatic. He's following up behind. He's like looking around.
Got his kind of.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not out. It's not out, but his hand is definitely like he's definitely imagining in his head the path from where his hand is now to where it will have to be to draw the gun out. You know, like he's like going through the motion in his head.
Got it.
Visualizing.
Yeah,
is
he's visualizing.
80% of the 80% of success is visualization. I think as soon as Billy gets inside, he goes inside real fast, and then he's like, wait, I have to be sneaky. So then he starts being like sneaky, like you're a kid. So he's like crouched down in the middle of a empty office hallway. And then it's like, no, you gotta stay close to the walls. And then he's like next to the wall, like looking.
Yeah, and it is in fact empty in here. You head in, and normally there's someone at reception. Yeah, it's abandoned. It's a little bit chilly in here because the door was open. There's some ice on the front walkway.
Like Billy and Dahlia are like alternating around corners. Like she'll just come out and like she'll be like she'll jump out one corner with the crossbow and she'll be like, okay.
And that Billy goes to do that, and he didn't bring his the gun that they took. He's still in the car.
He doesn't have it. I think we're all better off.
Yeah.
Yeah, guns are fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got a D4 in that guy, so definitely don't give him a gun.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be real bad.
So Billy knows the way up to his dad's office, so he just goes straight there, up the back stairs.
Yeah, so you head to your dad's office, and he's
just listening for anything, looking into like any room that we pass that's open.
For sure. Billy, why don't you roll me flight?
Because that's not great. Okay, let's try.
You can do it.
Just to see how sneaky you are.
Hey, 5 out of 6.
5 on a D6. That's not bad.
Not bad.
All right.
No.
I will tell you, there really is truly nobody in here. So how do you successfully sneak around?
I mean, basically, like Cassie was describing, we're just sort of like fake,
wait, so in the movies where like we put our backs against the wall in the corner, and then it's like on 1, 2, and then I jump out and I like look down aim down the hallway with the crossbow.
And then Dahlia, I think you're supposed to say clear.
Right. Clear, guys.
X-Files? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then we get to the stairwell, and we sort of go up. And as children are incapable of going silently up stairwell, we make a lot of echoing noise. And I think the office is on the 3rd floor, but it's at the back, which is why we took this back stairwell. So we sort of come out, and then we're outside Dad's office.
And I think as they get there, because Zane and Amanda are like kind of like casually. I think maybe they realize that there's no one here just a little bit before everyone else, so they're just sort of casually walking up, and they get to the office right as the kids are getting to the office, and Dahlia's, doing her thing, with pointing to things. So like she's like, "Huh!" And right at one point, like Zane just walks up and like grabs the crossbow and lifts it up and says, "All right, you can be careful with that." And walks past into the office. Like,
Dahlia is so careful. Oh, and then Billy goes in.
So the door to your dad's office is open, and it's a fairly large office. He's got a little meeting table. He's got I don't know, people drink at work in the 90s. Maybe he's got like a drink station.
yeah.
Drafting tables.
Yeah.
Large engineering sheets and stuff.
For sure. Calculations on chalkboards on the
Oh
wall.
my
He's got
The one computer in the whole town.
a big ass computer on his desk.
Giant CRT monitor. And...
yeah.
Nice.
And you notice a couple of things. The first thing, as soon as you get in, your dad is very fastidious. He does not make a mess, and it is a disaster in here. There are papers strewn everywhere. There are things are ripped in half. It looks like somebody went through looking for something specific, or trying to intimidate him, or something. Something happened in this room to make it a giant mess. And the other thing you notice is that the computer is on. You can see a little green cursor.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Flashing. The screen is blank.
Seeing that, Zane, check. Maybe some of these papers are something. I'll look on the computer. And Billy goes over and tries to push some buttons.
It's a Unix-based system. I know this. Anybody? Jurassic Park?
Okay. So, what's Zane doing? Sorry.
Zane is.
Were you did you give Dahlia or Zane directions? I can't remember.
He usually tells asks his brother to do things that he thinks he would be good at. So that's.
So what'd you tell Zane to do? I was too busy thinking of a Jurassic Park reference. Okay.
Oh.
All right, I'll look through the papers. Zane kind of sees the alcohol table and then kind of chickens out. He's not gonna do it.
Amanda looks at it a lot longer.
She's been to a party or two.
Yeah.
You know.
I feel
Zane-
like
She slips in like one of those mini ones for later.
she's having a hard day.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Billy
I'll start
goes
looking
over
through
and,
papers. Zane knows that Billy's better at computers than he is. So
I push enter a couple of times to see what happens. Get it started.
Billy, roll brains.
Okie dokie.
You don't.
Dahlia is
You know
definitely-
a little bit about computers,
Right.
but not very much. This would be a pretty difficult thing to manage.
All right, let's see here. That's terrible.
You keep rolling badly on your high stats and
I
well
know.
on
Well,
your low stats.
That's okay. I now have 6 adversity tokens. I'll take the failure.
Yeah, so you whatever commands you're doing, whatever you put in, it comes back in all caps error.
Nah. The only other thing, I mean, are there any rules covering trying again, or anything like that?
Let me take a look.
Okay.
While Dahlia, are you? you have some
Dahlia
commands here?
is currently standing guard in the doorway to make sure that no silent stalking radioactive creatures are gonna try to come down the hallway. She was gonna say something to Zane about touching the business end of a loaded crossbow, but she decided against it. Just because she seems very adamant about being the one in charge. And he's kind of the one that tells us what to do whenever we go, back to the house after school. So, they're really, they need to find their parents. She understands the need to be able to know where their parents are, and she wants to do something to help. And so this is the only real thing that she can think of to do, is like to make sure that nobody surprises them. Because that's what she expects.
So you don't see any zombie radioactive
good
creatures. Yeah.
Good.
You're good.
Excellent.
Thanks for watching.
I'm doing my job.
Doing good work. Yeah, so Billy, there's no real way to give it another attempt.
That is what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just read that as well.
He's just, I can't. It's in a weird spot. I don't know where to go.
Yeah, and with these old computers, like, you need to know the specific pathway to find anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like,
not like click.
So are these papers anything? What's all that? And I guess Billy would also search like the rest of the desk at that time to see if there's anything sort of there that was tossed around there while they're looking at everything scattered around.
Yeah, I'm looking through the papers and looking through what's going on, and me and Amanda are together. Amanda's much smarter than I think the rest of us. She has one of her features, I guess you call it, her powers, I guess you would call it, aspects, is that she's very intelligent. She has a D20 for brains, so I think she might be.
Maybe they've got more computers in Toronto.
That's true.
Well, I think she's still helping Zane, though.
Yeah, for at the moment.
Yeah. So they're looking through papers and trying to sort of like look at where, try to ascertain what people were looking for, and just looking for clues, I guess you would say.
Okay. Are you gonna? Is Amanda rolling brains?
Yeah, I think Amanda's probably better off than.
All right.
Okay.
D20. I will roll a D20.
Okay.
I'm gonna roll. You're gonna see I'm rolling charm, but it's just because I'm rolling my D20.
Right.
So Amanda got an 11 on brains.
This is a planned action?
Yeah, I mean, you consulted.
Yeah.
Chatted about it.
Then I spend 4 tokens to make that a 15.
Nice. So we're looking through papers. We're looking at what's, just trying to get a feel for what's been ransacked.
Okay.
Like we kind of want to, like, why were they here? What were they looking for?
So, not having any advanced engineering degrees, it's hard for you to really parse what kind of thing could be missing.
Yeah.
None of it really makes sense to any of you. However, Amanda finds a textbook, and it is a engineering physics textbook, and it's kind of thrown on the ground. You can see it's been rifled through, and she says, I've seen that before. My dad has that one. I think that's for the class that he teaches. And she picks it up, and it's the kind of those old style late 80s, early 90s textbooks. They're like 2 colors and they're text heavy, and
Yep.
And so she's flipping through this like high level university textbook, and it opens up to a page that is it kind of like naturally opens up because there's a big chunk of pages that have been ripped out. And this just about like a whole chapter has been ripped out of this textbook, and it is pertaining to, you can't even really, you're not sure what it means.
Yeah.
But it is pertaining to like interactions between radioactive materials and other materials. So how they interact and what effects they have on each other, is you can kind of get that from what it's saying. At least from what, like, yeah, as she kind of goes through, she says, I don't know why this is important, but it's some kind of this whole section would be about I guess figuring out how to manage radioactivity, like to shield it or to direct it, or I think that's what it is.
What if we go in the index and look at all the words that are on those pages that are missing?
That's genius.
That's a good idea.
I mean, I don't know what probably the words mean, but maybe somebody does. Zane, you took physics?
I took it. I took physics for the community.
And then Billy is, I don't know, who was in that class? Michelle or?
And Amanda kind of like, she's looking down at the textbook and sort of does one of these, looking up at Billy and then Zane when he says that, and then back down.
Shut up, Billy.
Billy goes quiet. waits for Amanda.
Yeah, you go through the index, and it seems like it's for systems that can redirect is the wrong word, that can contain radioactive materials. And
this isn't anything.
Yeah, this makes no sense at all. I don't know.
Contain radioactive materials?
Would your dad just rip something out of a book like this?
No.
No, he loves books.
Obviously, someone came in here looking for something and ripped this section out of the textbook. I mean, that's obvious to me.
I mean, for sure, but why this section? What's...
I don't know. My parents were here.
They must still be here. Maybe maybe they're in the other building.
Where the actual uranium is?
I don't know.
Oh, you never told me that, so I wouldn't know that.
The other, I don't know what's the other building that you get. I think you gotta like. I don't know. We should check. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm gonna go. Let me think. They're not here, so we and I think we've found everything we can here. So we need to go somewhere. But I want to go check Mom's car, and I do want to, wherever we go next, the first place Zane's gonna go is back out to the car and see if, and just open. He knows the door's been opened, so he doesn't know if that's because it was driven from one place to the other, but it doesn't look like it because like it's covered in ice. You can't drive a car when it's covered in ice like that. That'd be very difficult. But it's been opened since the ice storm, so he wants to open it and take a look inside.
Okay. So you head out there, and I won't even get you to roll for this one. you see that your mom is
In the
unusual
car.
in Middle Grape.
Huh?
She's not in the car. No. She's an unusual character in Middle Grape. She's not from here.
Okay.
So she moved here when she married her dad. And so she's had a couple of cars stolen when she lived in Ottawa, and she has like a club, that thing that, like,
My
and
best
so-
friend's dad has that still.
yeah.
To this day.
And like, people make fun of her for it all the time, but she is pretty good natured about it. Says, "Oh well, you never know what kind of person could wander into town. I mean," and it is always in her car, but it is not in her car right now. It is missing. For some reason, it has been removed.
Oh my goodness.
You also see, as you go out, you see footsteps around the area. This could mean a lot of different things. And they're covered in ice, so they're sort of just like depressions.
Yeah.
But somebody walked around here before the ice was cut. And you also see footprints from after the ice fell, which kind of makes sense. Whoever got into your mom's car opened the door, like stepped through the ice, opened it.
Can I follow the footprints?
You sure can.
Billy, Talia,
Yes.
Amanda. Something's going on. Zane says to Billy, because he knows Billy will understand, and he's trying to be efficient with his communication right now because he wants to follow these footprints. He says, Billy, the mom's club is gone.
Dun dun dun. I said that.
And look, there's footprints in the ice.
Let's follow it.
I think those might be mom's footprints. There's somebody's footprints. Whoever went into the car. So, yeah.
Well, we gotta find. If we can't find mom and dad, we gotta find somebody.
Yeah.
Let's follow them.
Dahlia, please don't shoot the first person you see.
I'm not going. I didn't shoot you, did I?
Bobby is well aware that Dahlia is probably far more capable than Zane when it comes to this.
Yeah.
But Zane is definitely in 17-year-old talking to an 11-year-old mode.
I love it.
I won't. I promise.
Right.
So these footprints lead to a there's a small, looks kind of like a utility shed just outside the office door. You see they lead up to this shed, and the door is ajar. Like, it looks like it's been pried open, and then they lead away from the shed towards the second building.
I'm gonna look inside the shed. Is there any way to, like, I don't know that Zane would know what should be in there, but is there any way to tell what was happening in there? Like, is something obviously missing or anything like that?
Inside the shed is a selection of suits to protect against radioactivity.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if a hazmat suit is the right word, but like,
No, it's a
the
rad
next level
suit.
up. Yeah, rad suits.
Okay.
Okay.
And
I'm
I'm
looking
assuming
at
there's
our-
one missing.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a bunch in there. There's a lot in
Sure,
there, so
okay,
you can't
okay.
tell for sure. But
It's
yeah,
just a place where there's a bunch because that's where you go to get one.
exactly.
Okay.
I think, just looking at our time, cinematic clothes is 4 kids on bikes with rad suits walking towards this
4
building.
kids on
Crossbows and
bikes.
guns.
Yeah.
Kids in dresses.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. Like, Dahlia is all about putting on a rad suit. She does
Yeah,
not
so-
want to turn into
so
some
where do the-
scary monster.
Where do the footprints head? Like, if I'm watching them, if I'm following them off into the distance, where do they head towards?
To the second building.
Okay. So Zane looks at the footprints, looks inside the building, and looks at his compatriots, and he says, I think it's time to suit up.
And then, yeah.
Yep,
Yep.
I like it.
Star wipe and close.
Are you saying you need to go to bed, Palmer? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's fine. If you have some more stuff to do.
We don't need to go through the whole rad suiting up here thing, but let's
Montage.
let's come to the
Montage.
the montage music.
Dahlia and Billy, they don't fit, so.
No,
Yeah,
it's
you're
like
kind of
flopping
flopping
around.
around. You're feeling uncomfortable. So you continue to follow these footsteps, I imagine.
Yep.
So they head to a back entrance in this larger building. And you see once again that the door is pried open and is sort of hanging ajar in this back entrance.
Something's going on here, but we're getting somewhere. You guys okay?
Billy flops his arms.
Yeah. Amanda, she stashed the shotgun in her backpack. She's got her hand on it, but it's really awkward because of her.
Yeah.
She's like Dahlia's rolled up, just pushed the sleeves up so they're all bunched up on her bicep, as far as she could to his shoulder. So she has this,
So it's still enclosed, but it's bunched up. Okay.
It's all bunched up there. So she's got and she's holding it underneath her really tight as she's holding the crossbow so she doesn't get parts of it in the way. And she's yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Zane,
I'm ready to shoot monsters and scary people.
Zane has probably also put his. I mean, there's no way he's gonna be able to. He's not gonna walk around with a gun, just
Yeah, willy-nilly.
Yeah, so he'd probably put that in his backpack as well, and he's just wearing his backpack over top of his suit. But he says, "Okay, if we're ready, then let's go."
So you open this door, and you kind of look around the corner, look to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
It's dark in here, and you creep in, and as you enter, you hear sort of a scraping sound, and then there's a muffled voice that comes from the corner. And it says, "Zane, I told you to watch your brother. What are you doing here?" And you look, and on the ground, your mother is laying on her side. She's got her legs kicking out at a weird angle. It looks like it's injured, and she is, she's got her eyes narrowed at Zane, and she looks at Dahlia and says, "What are you doing with a crossbow?"
Oh man, I'm in so much trouble.
You said we're gonna end it right there, huh?
We're gonna end it right there.
That is perfect.
What are you doing with the
Mom!
Mom!
We found you.
Yay! Mom is alive.
Hi, Mom. We robbed the school. We robbed the hardware store, and we stole a car.
I'm feeling good about my decision to put my gun in my backpack right now.
Yeah, you are very glad. And Amanda's kind of
Awesome. That was great.
Oh man.
Oh, that was lots of fun, guys.
My heart.
Yeah, I think I got Palmer a couple times there. You were.
I'm so tense.
It really is.
Yeah.
Especially when you have to just keep rethinking into the kid mindset. So
what kind of dumb thing am I gonna do?
yeah.
Scrim, the music and sound effects are amazing. You had rain queued up. You had the sound of the portal queued up.
I did.
Impressive.
That was really good. I am very impressed. I can't wait until next week, a week from now. So anybody who's watching, either live right now or on the YouTube video, we're gonna be. This was This was no, I guess it was
Third.
March 3rd.
Third.
I'm looking at my computer, but it just rolled over past midnight. So March 3rd, the next episode will be on March 10th at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we'll get to find out how much trouble we're in now.
Oh man.
man.
So much trouble.
Yeah.
Between Zane's charm and Billy's brains, we'll somehow get out of this like we always do.
I don't know. I think your mom's immune.
Before we go and before we do our normal goodbyes, I want to check in with Billy and Dahlia and Zane, and I want to get a feel for what they're thinking right now. I know I'll start since I started it. Zane, I think it was earlier in the chat. I think Palmer might have said this. But I think Zane right now is not aware of the fact that he's falling for Amanda. But it's happening. And so that's happening, and he's his natural protective nature is sort of like carrying over to that, but he's intrigued by her because she's different. This is a really small town, and everybody is kind of the same and predictable, right? And he's had kind of like a very predictable life up until this point, but albeit he's been at the top of the social hierarchy, but life in that arena has not been a challenge for him up until this point, and everybody is kind of the same. And I think the thing that intrigues him about her is how not just that she can summon portals, but personality, like she's just different. She's not the same as everybody else. So.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the people that Zane interacts with are not genuine, and Amanda feels very genuine.
Right.
Agreed.
Right. And it should come to no surprise that even in the midst of all this stuff that's happening, that is on Zane's mind is the people that are around him rather than the situation that rather than the mystery he's trying to uncover. That's what he's thinking about all the time, is the people around him, whether it be his brother or Dahlia or Amanda. That's always the first thing that he's thinking about, is the people that are around him. But what about you? What about Billy? How's Billy doing right now?
Billy, it's just been such an emotional roller coaster for him that he's just, I think, at the moment he's just like overwhelmed with, I guess, he's relieved, like overflowing relief right now. He can't possibly feel any other feeling. Basically, you found your mom, so that means that everything is fine, and we're good now, so we don't have to worry about anything. The thoughts of portals or creepy suit guys or any of those things, or even, that why is mom lying on the ground, that is like for this moment completely irrelevant, because
totally.
Mom,
right? She's like there she is now. She's gonna take care of the rest.
Yep, she's gonna take over from Zane, and everything will be fine.
Right.
And I feel like age 11 is kind of that point where you first realize that your parents can't do everything.
Sometimes it's a slow process around that age, and other times it's something big happens around that age.
Yeah.
What about Dahlia?
So like, Dahlia's really happy, like, about finding Billy's mom, because she knows how much that, like, she means to him, and she knows what it's like to lose a mom, and like she doesn't want him to like that, and so she's really excited that excited is the wrong word, like there's like a relief that that she feels that his mom is okay. And then then she's like, oh, now she's gonna be in trouble because she has a crossbow and like Billy's mom doesn't like that apparently, but then in the back of her mind she's like, adults are stupid. It's like if Billy's mom had been smart, she wouldn't have gotten caught. So
why don't you have a crossbow, Billy's mom?
So it's like this like jumble of like of emotions that she's not really sure which one is going to kind of express first in like an interaction. Like, you know, because she definitely doesn't want to cause problems, but at the same time she's like, don't take my crossbow away, Miss Bouchard, okay? Because I really feel like it's important, okay?
Yeah, I feel like, at least my impression of Dahlia is, of the three of us, she's the one who's most concerned with, like, the mystery of the thing.
Oh, for sure.
Like, most, like, we need to crossbow these weird alien guys. You know, and I think part of that is because her dad wasn't missing, you know.
Yeah,
so
she has the least personal stake
Billy
in
and Zane
it.
may come to feel that way, but at the moment, they were worrying about so many other things.
Like, yeah, like her dad's okay, and you know, like, we found the mom. That's like one step in the right direction, and so, you know, hopefully we can all refocus and figure out what in the world is this alien dude who can make multiples of himself actually trying to achieve here. Because this is some straight up sci-fi movie. Like, we're in a movie right now, guys. we gotta
understand.
We gotta make sure that we make the smart choices, or else we're gonna end up dead.
Yeah, I think Zane is trying to outrun the reality of what's going on constantly too. Like, every time he gets a second to breathe, it starts to catch up with him, and then he just keeps moving.
Yeah,
you know,
but she's it's not necessarily that she's confident, but she knows that she's competent, because like she's been, like, you know, her dad has been teaching her so many things to try to, like, you know, make sure that she's prepared to handle a world that he might not be in. And so, like, it's been,
I get this sense from Dahlia of reflex, which is what the whole point of, like, probably the drills that her dad has put her through is that's the point, right? Like, like if you're in a situation when the government's coming after you, then this is what you do.
Like, this is what you
Go
do.
underground.
Yeah.
Like 4 weeks on this.
And so these are like knee-jerk reactions for her at this point, and so maybe she hasn't even had the need to think about things quite yet.
Yeah, no, it's like a strange, like, surreal kind of, like, the moment where, you know, you've been, like, training for stuff.
Yeah,
but you
that's what I was
never
just thinking. This is the moment you've been training for.
You never actually thought you would ever have to use anything like this before. You know, it's one of those situations where, you know, I'm sure that it wasn't necessarily what her father was training her for, but she, like, made games of it in her head about, like, what would happen with, like, aliens and all sorts of stuff. So that's, like, how she imagined things, and now it's actually happening, and so she's just like, okay, I know what to do.
That's awesome. Dahlia makes my heart sing. She's amazing. I think if I can chime in a little bit about Amanda before we go, I think Zane has known her for a few weeks, you know, not like a lot, but seen her and whatever. And she has always been surly and distant, seems kind of angry all the time, a little bit of RBF going on. She's not the, and certainly not popular. Kind of almost didn't notice her, or like felt put off by her like standoffishness. But I think she would normally feel very foolish in this situation, because she's being very vulnerable with people she barely knows, and she just can't get a grasp on her anxiety, which she usually hides behind this like facade of surliness. And so she this is the first time she's ever really talked to anybody in this town, and she just hates everything that Zane stands for. She cannot stand the fakeness, all that stuff, but she's like, but he's not. He's an okay guy. Like
He's actually a really cool guy.
Right. Well, we're in this like intense situation where there's not
Yeah.
like Zane doesn't have time to be, or energy or the space to be fake right now, right? Like his normal fake self, like.
Yeah, like I think back to the music store interaction, and both of the people in it.
Yes,
were
exactly.
Entirely superficially.
Yeah, that first
garbage.
Go back, listen, watch the first episode in that first moment, that scene in the music store. That was like the quintessential Zane right there. That was him in his element, and that's how he normally is. But that's not how he, like, there's no space for that now, right now, in this moment, So, or at least
in this moment, he's the guy who gave his kid brother the Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
He has the opportunity to be himself genuine, to steal my own word from earlier.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I
like
think
it.
too, once depending how this shakes out, once it's all over, Amanda will be afraid that he's gonna go back to being his normal self. His
Who
usual
knows?
self, and
Who knows?
that's
Zane
gonna
might be afraid of the
amaze
same
Will.
thing. So,
There you go.
you never know. Well, we will find out more next week on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Real fast, we will sign off by just saying where you can find more of us. I know the only other thing I've got going on right now is I'm playing Leverage with Scrim, but that's not we just played some last night, and it should be, if it's not already, going up on YouTube pretty soon. So check out the Shadowcasters Network YouTube channel. Just search Shadowcasters Network on YouTube if you want to find that. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you're already there. Check out the Leverage stuff that we've been doing. That's been a lot of fun. Scrim, is there anything else that people should know about that you're doing right now other than this and Leverage with me?
Leverage will be happening again in 2 weeks, so that's our finale. And then we've got some Cyberpunk Red and Join the Anarchy coming after that, so we'll see you there.
Right. What about you, Palmer?
Nothing new and unusual to report at the moment. Just Radio Free Detroit ongoing, and hopefully have another episode of Shadowrun Origins, which I edit, coming out this weekend.
Yay!
Other than that, no, nothing new. Nothing new to upsell right now.
Right. There, I just dropped a link to Radio Free Detroit to people in
Thank you.
Yay!
the chat if you're here. If not, then go to look up, what is it? It's on. You can just look for Radio Free Detroit.
It's on everything.
Yeah.
Radio Free Detroit. Or if you actually Ziggy.troll is an easier way to find it by searching on anything, because there are too many things called Radio Free Detroit apparently.
And Cassie, what's going on with Original Box Set?
Oh man, so right now my husband is in another training session, so I don't think we're gonna have anything happening this week as far as Numenera and stuff goes. But generally, we have a bunch of different live streams that we are doing, and we're adding more very soon. So I'm excited about that for our Twitch stuff. And then and next month, or actually this month, I'm gonna be doing back to back conventions. So
Wow.
so I make RPG themed soaps, and you can find my stuff on the interwebs if you would like over on my Etsy shop. I put down some things. There's my original box set. Yay! And that's what there you go. That's what I make. I make stuff like that. It's so cool.
That is cool.
Thanks, Palmer.
And they smell so good.
And so if you live in Florida or around South Carolina, I'm going to be doing.
I live around South Carolina.
You do. I gotta remember where it's at, but I think it's in Greenville.
Yes, I remember when you told me that next time you were coming here, it was going to be in Greenville. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have one in Gainesville, Florida next weekend, and then the weekend after that, I'll be back in Jacksonville, and then the weekend after that, I'll be in Greenville, South Carolina. So if you go to conventions and any of those sound familiar to you, come check it out.
Boy,
so
howdy.
Yay!
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for everything. And check out us if you don't follow already. Go ahead and follow the Shadowcasters Network on Twitch and everywhere else. Twitter at SRCasters, and we'll see you next week and around. So, bye-bye.
Bye.